Hello, Internet. Welcome back to the Fast Travel Lounge. You're listening to episode 33. Crazy that we get a double number. Those don't come around very often. My name is Patrick. I'm joined by Saif and Steve. Say hi, everyone.
They happen every 11 episodes, Patrick. Also, hello, everyone.
You're right, and 11 is also a double number, so that's, I'm not going to say there's something weird going on, but it definitely feels that way. Unfortunately, no Josh this week, which is funny because I was so ready for Josh to be here and for me to make a joke about him not being here, given that I don't think he's been back for back-to-back episodes for a while now, and I was ready to just assume that he wasn't going to come, and then he didn't, so joke's on me, I guess. Unfortunately, he got the old $25, yeah, the old $25 bucket of 4 Corona special from John, the local bar that I sometimes frequent. But
he forgot to ask for the Corona Holder virus, and he's done.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, he did get the full load. It's a real shame. He is, as they say, down with the sickness, but nowhere near as cool as the song.
Oh wow!
What a killer soundtrack.
Absolutely. God, imagine if that was licensed to us. Imagine if that's how we just opened episode 33.
I remember when Disturbed was licensed in Dragon Ball Z movies. It was the best.
Man, they don't make movies like they used to anymore.
No, they really, you know what? I'm glad someone's saying it, Steve, because you know what? You're right. Not often I say that, so, be careful how much that goes to your head, but you're right.
Weren't you just praising Top Gun a couple of weeks back?
Unrelated, but why?
Just wondering, since that's on the topic of not making them like they used to.
Okay, I'm actually going to need some context for that. I unironically liked Top Gun Maverick. What do you mean they didn't make them like they used to? They made it literally like the first one.
That's what I mean. So Steve's saying they don't make them like they used to. You agree with him, but at the same time, you're really into the recent Top Gun.
It's true. So,
which is a movie where they made it like they used to.
Okay. You know what? I'll recount the you're right, Seth. You're right. I also don't say that often enough to you. So, other than editing decisions, you're right. What I meant to say was, they don't make them like they used to, except when Tom Cruise is involved.
Based. Tom Cruise always holds it down. Saving Hollywood since the 90s.
Just like his Scientology beliefs, they just don't make him like they used to. Anyway, what
a strange segment.
It's only going to get stranger from here.
There might say there are stranger things about, eh?
You know
what?
Last week. The reference was 2 weeks. Yeah, it was 2 weeks late, I think.
Well, I mean, that was still the joke I was going to make, so should I even need to be, like, I don't know, Seth, do I even need to be here? Can I just leave this to you two?
Steve, do you think we can hold down a podcast just between the two of us?
You're right. You know what? Don't call me a hero, but I'll substitute myself back in. I'll just hold up. Just gotta do the high five tag from the sideline. Boom, I'm back in.
Because if I have to deal with the Final Fantasy 14 chat from Seth alone, I don't think I can make it.
It's okay. I haven't played Final Fantasy 14 in a few months. I'm still on my break.
If you had to deal with the Final Fantasy 14 chat, you'd Final Fantasy 15 yourself?
What do you mean? I like that game. Fuck you.
But it ends with Noctis killing himself.
Yes, look.
Literally every single game that guy has directed ends with people killing themselves.
Good. Anyway, on to the show. What are we doing?
Right, so we don't have the funny haha tech stories. Anyone went to Krispy Kreme recently? I didn't.
No, I didn't.
I got a donut from a non-Krispy Kreme place.
Yeah, okay, don't care, didn't ask.
I'm asleep. I sleep.
Yeah, okay, I guess we'll just go straight into Around the Lounge. I see that we've already sunk 5 minutes of this somehow. Around the Lounge for this week, I've been playing Outer Wilds, much in the spirit of playing games that are not new release in any capacity, but that
did get new DLC yesterday, but not yesterday, last year.
Yeah, Outer Wilds, I'd say, is still recent enough. That was like, what, 3-4 years ago?
Well, I mean, compared to what the usual kind of new release window we call ourselves is, then yeah, it is still recent. But hang on, sorry, what do you mean, Steve? There's Eye of Something DLC that I haven't played yet because I haven't. Finished
the
game,
Echoes of the Eye that came out last year.
Oh, was that last year? Okay.
Yeah, it was last year.
Well, I've been told to save that until I finish the main game. So
yeah, well, I haven't played it, but definitely do that.
I haven't played the DLC, but just gut feeling, save it. Fair enough. Saif, what have you been up to this week?
Not a whole lot. There's something I do want to talk about in like a funny haha life update recently, but also in games stuff I've played.
Funny haha life update.
Yeah,
Remember,
just a little
if it's
funny
therapy, we charge you for it.
Just a little funny life circumstances. That's all. But in terms of games and media, I've played I've started up Saints Row 4.
And speaking of funny haha life updates, Steve, you're looking for a place to live, right?
Yes. I am not. I'm not homeless yet, but
that's the hahaest of them all.
Yeah, the ye olde landlord's given us our marching orders. He wasn't too happy with the tip we gave him.
He expected more on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so we've risen up. We've cut his head off, and then that's it. We've got to find a new place. But because he didn't officially end our lease, we've got a month. So we're looking. Some really good places out there. Some really not so good places out there. But look, at the end of the day, as long as I've got a room to do some podcasting and give the fans what they want, that's really we got to do what we got to do.
I'm looking forward to the new segment of how to find a suitable place to live with Steve and the boys.
I do have actually a trick part. So because Sydney is such a shithole because everybody wants to rent and rental prices are a bit all over the shop at the moment.
True.
You've got to make really good friends with the sort of real estate agent at the inspection. So because I've used my my PhD in marketing I'm wearing a Christmas sweater so that they all remember me when I come in. Like, oh, that's a nice sweater. And I'm like, yep, I know, it's cool. Give me your house. Just give me the keys right now.
It sets you apart from all the people going there in like wife beaters and jeans that don't fit.
Well, what are you talking about? I'm in the inner west, big fella, right? There's no wife beaters and jeans.
No, Steve just wears the wife beater over his Christmas sweater.
Just wait till I start looking for places in the inner west.
Good, can't wait. It'll be Docs and a black turtleneck and whatever pants they wear, like $400 jeans that look like that have been like painted like a faded color. That just the rips painted on.
God, even if I had money, I wouldn't buy $400 jeans.
But you'd pay $80 for Dragon Ball: The Breakers.
I mean, yeah, that's going to give me at least an hour worth of content.
I would argue that the right jeans would also give you an hour's worth of content.
Well, it depends on how often you think you'll go outside and touch grass, I guess.
Never.
Yeah, well, maybe don't. Maybe get some good old knee knockers or something. They still make those?
Some knee knockers.
Just get some trackies.
Wow.
They'll do.
I love that you followed that up with, do they still make those? Like, bro, just say you're 40 and move on.
Oh, take me back.
Never.
It's a simpler time.
And
before I was born.
And from beyond the COVID-19 grave, Josh will give us an album of the week. Steve, you've also been playing outside of trying to find a place to live. Katamri, Damacy.
Oh, good. That's how I was going to pronounce it, but I have heard it pronounced Damacy.
I think it's Damacy.
You're right. I do see a Damacy, yeah, when I see you fellas, am I right? I got him.
I also see you've only left one note on this, which says, huh?
Yeah. So for anybody that's not aware, it's on Game Pass. It leaves at the end of the month. So it's Katamri Damacy Reroll, which is just a HD sort of remaster of the 2003 PlayStation 2 classic. And it's leaving Game Pass on the 30th of July. So I'm like, you know what? I asked Saif what game I should play. There's a bunch of games that I was like, oh, should I play this? And Saif's like, play Katamri Damacy. And I'm like, you know what? All right. And I did. And I played it for about 2 hours.
I'm getting that rope around my neck as he speaks.
Yeah, it is a fucking game and a half, I'll tell you that much. But yes, when we get into it, I'll have my complete thoughts.
Sweet. Well, speaking of getting into things, Josh has an album of the week that he wants to discuss. And by Josh discussing an album of the week, I mean, we're going to suspend what was actually going to happen, as I say, because last minute cancellation, COVID-19, it happens, it's fine. So we're going to discuss, I don't know about you guys, but possibly the most goated album of all time. I know that this has been a popular thing with listeners for us to review, and I'm kind of glad that we have the magical number 33 to be the episode that we finally review it. Saif, take us through the track list of this magical album.
Okay, so on this 2-disc track list, I would like to point out that we have All Star, Oops, I Did It Again, Livin' La Vida Loca, also, I Want It That Way, All the Small Things,
you're
Blue
missing
Dubba D.
Kiss Me is also an excellent track.
You also missed 1 week as well.
One Week, I don't know. I was never as big a fan of 1 Week as some of their other stuff, I'll be honest.
See, there's so many good things on this that we could have just listed the entire track list, and it would have been all bangers.
But anyway, so who brings us this great album, sorry.
So, the record label behind it is Razor and Tie, and this is from the series known as Kids Bop. Released in the year 2000, it is a compilation disc of many, many popular artists, and it was a revolutionary track for my childhood.
Still is, some would say.
Yeah, some might say.
It lives rent-free in my head.
I'm pretty sure it'll, when's the remake coming up, fellas? Is this our origin story? Are we getting together to get
the HD Kids Bop remake?
No, it'd be Adults Bop. Let's be real, fellas.
So
you were born in 2000 to listen to this. You're no longer a kid.
A fun fact for this: in 20 years, they released 40 albums.
Oh my god!
The last one was released November 15, 2019. So they've been out for a few years.
That's not so much a fun fact as something that I think is definitely verging on child exploitation.
Also, there was a Kids Bop video game in September 2010 for the Wii and Wii U.
Wow.
Whoa, man, that's a video game we've missed.
What's the gameplay loop there?
I'm looking it up.
This would be a great audio medium.
Yeah.
So the question for you, Steve. You're trapped on a desert island and you only have one Kids Bop song that you can play for the rest of your days before your water runs out and you slowly succumb to dehydration. What's that Kids Bop track?
Ooh, I don't know, big fella. Probably Blue Dubba D. That'd probably drive me fucking insane.
So you're telling me that the cruise ship that spots your plight in the distance and pulls up alongside, sends out a dinghy, and as they approach your lifeless corpse on a small desert island, they just hear the sound of Blue Dubba Dee Dubba Die slowly getting louder as they approach. Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure they'd love it. Like they'd be like, "Wow, this is a bop," and then he'd turn around and face the kids and be like, "Kids,
this was a bop, and it sounds like it was sung by kids. If only there was an album that combined these two things."
So looking into it, it seems like it's pretty similar to the Just Dance sort of series, but it's all Kids Bop songs that were included.
So what you're telling me is they did. Oh shoot! I really should have had this one ready to go.
Wait, so you're telling me a kid made this bop?
Multiple kids in poor working conditions, in fact. No, I'm thinking of what's Han Solo? Han Solo, the remix
yes.
on Just Dance 3 or 4.
Yes, that was so
Oh
good.
yeah, that was a shit fucking song. Holy shit. Oh,
What do you
when are they
mean
gonna
shit?
make
It was beautiful.
when are they making a Just Dance Dragon Ball Z version? Remember
One
what they
that-
took
one
from
that
us when they
Seth
got
could
rid
buy
of the
for
Kinect?
$80.
Oh,
Listen,
so-
I'll pay $80 to dance along to Chala Head Chala.
True.
So audience wants to know, out of 10, what would you give Kids Bop?
10 out of 10. Childhood
Yeah,
classic.
it's a 10. Like, why are we even asking this? Like, it's the best
Sure.
album. It's one of the albums of all time, I'd say.
Wow, yeah, that's a pretty stunning endorsement, actually. Cool. Thank
favorite
you.
was when they said it's kitten time.
Oh my god.
It's Buffin time, maybe.
The idea of Jared Leto just featuring a DJ Khaled style like shout out at the start of a song, but he just yells, "It's boppin' time." That's
Holy
that's
fucking shit,
actually
that
that's just straight up cursed. I'll be honest.
I think it's become so cursed that it's actually like holy.
I
circle
would
is
disagree,
complete.
actually. But speaking of things that are cursed or possibly holy, Saif, Saints Row 4,
Just real quick before we moved on
wow,
from
okay, no, let's just you know what? Hey, Patrick, you know that excellent segue you made? What if we just throw it in the trash? That's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just needed to quickly get off my chest. Hey Trin,
You're gonna edit this in post, right?
Yes. No. Maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question? Anyway, yes. Sorry, Trin gave us a recommendation for album of the week. Sorry, Trin, we'll get to it next week when Josh is hopefully here. If he's not, we'll just skip him and just do it anyway.
Yeah, no. In all seriousness, it's a banger of an album. One that I will absolutely go back and listen to even more than Kids Bop, which is already saying something. Because it is actually up there on probably one of my favorite albums.
See, and this is all
Easy-
discussion we could have
easy
had if
top.
Josh was here.
Yeah, true. Easy. It's definitely top 20, possibly top 10. I actually don't know what my top 10 is, but it's certainly floating around there. Anyway, album of the week. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everyone else. Yeah.
Thank you, Kids Bop.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Kids Bop. Gotta sing praises to the bopping kids. Anyway, so
Gotta bop 'em all.
speaking of things that are Saints Rowy, boom, segue nailed. Seth, Saints Row 4.
Yeah, Saints Row 4's been weird. Really, really weird. Like, I enjoy it. I
Doesn't
really
sound like you do.
No, it's great. It's good. It's been a great time playing it. Playing the Saints Row games back to back. I appreciate it being so different from Saints Row 3 because if it was just more of the same thing, I would have burnt out a lot faster. But being a very big gimmicky superhero sort of game just gives it that extra life. I think I would have needed for this game. The thing that's weird for me is that I think it looks worse than Saints Row 3. Like, graphically and, like, texture and asset-wise, I think they downgraded from the last game. And that's a really weird thing to think about.
So I haven't played Saints Row 4 in a while, so I'm slightly off base in terms of trying to figure whether or not you're right. However, I think there was a very clear day-night cycle in Saints Row 3, and that added to the vibrancy and the dynamicism of the game. And I don't think there's a day-night cycle in Saints Row 4. Or at least when I think
so. No, I think it
when
might
I-
change along with the
Jesus.
missions.
Yeah, when I think of Saints Row 4, I think of a very static time of day, whenever that is, but I think of it as very static. And
Yeah.
I think that combined with it just being very red.
Yeah, the
really
time of day
builds-
is always red so far.
Yeah, it builds in a certain ambiance, if you will, that is very like I guess what I'm saying is I think it's easier to say that Saints Row 3 looked better when you have things like a day-night cycle, as well as starting from a place of seeming fairly realistic, that because it's so gamified and hyper-realistic and superhero focused and everything else, that that kind of static approach makes it could make it look worse than it is.
Yeah, I just mean, like,
argument.
I noticed it in the character creator. A lot of the like hair and body options looked worse than they do in Saints Row 3 to me, and that might just be because of a art style change. Maybe they went for like a more gamey, like over the top than even Saints Row 3 was, and that's probably what's leaning into it. But yeah, I just think it's not as good looking as Saints Row the Third was.
Is it that it's not good? Hang on, what am I trying to say here? Take a breath, Steve. Is it that it's not looking good? It's just the environment is bland.
The environment is the exact same. It's more the character models I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay. Like graphically, it looks like shit.
Yeah, not even shit. It's just
interesting.
It's just I think 3 looks better, and it's a weird thing to think that the one that came before is the one that looks better.
Look, if the game doesn't look perfect, it looks like shit.
For me, Saints Row 3 is the pinnacle in every way. My biggest problem, I might have brought it up on the podcast, I don't actually remember, but my biggest problem is that the gamification of being a superhero in a Saints Row universe. So, Saints Row, I always consider, someone described Saints Row to me as GTA with all the cheats permanently on, and I really like that description. But the problem is, GTA with all the cheats on is fun for a while, and then it gets a bit, not samey because it's always so crazy, but it starts to limit some of the choices you make because there's clearly an easy. I'll give you an example. If you're playing GTA and you have infinite ammo for the rocket launcher and infinite ammo for the pistol, you'd pick the rocket launcher, right? Because that's just the more fun one. But you can only use infinite ammo rocket launchers a certain amount of times before you start getting a little bit fatigued. It's almost like flavor fatigue of like a pizza or something. And so for me, that hit really hard in Saints Row 4 because I really liked being able to hijack cars and customize them and everything else in Saints Row 3. But because of how much of a superhero you are in Saints Row 4, it just doesn't make any sense to do so. And so you kind of end up axing a non-insignificant part of some of the gameplay mechanics. I found that hard to reconcile. But where are you at with that, Seth?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I think because I'm playing these back-to-back, I appreciate what 4 is doing more than maybe most people would have when the game came out originally. Like, I very much like Prototype and Infamous and superhero games, and just having a big sandbox to just kind of run around in and use those superpowers is a very fun aspect of the game, and I like just super running and super jumping and gliding everywhere. I think that's a more fun traversal methods than just driving everywhere, and I get its different flavors. I do like what Saints Row the Third does in how it handles it traversal, but to me personally, I have more fun with superpowered travel and like just kind of flying everywhere. I do get the where you come from though with like the more like smaller parts of the game, like how you with stealing cars, you can take them into your garage, save them, customize them, and it all becomes like this big flavor of building up this stronghold, building up this base of operations and things like that. But yeah, I need to play more of Saints Row 4 to know where I lean either way. But I do appreciate 4 for what it's doing.
So would you? Okay, so I'm coming at this from that new Saints Row remake is supposed to come out November, I believe.
August.
August.
Did it get delayed? Actually, I can't remember.
Did it get delayed? Yeah, it's a good one. All games get delayed.
It definitely got delayed once, but I don't remember if that got delayed until August or from August.
Yeah, no, I remember it was meant to come out
August 23, 2022, my friend.
Yeah, it was meant to come out March. It's coming out August now, and as of a day ago, it's gone gold.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Saints Row. Don't know who came silver, but I don't think that matters as long as you come gold, right?
I'd be worried about bronze, honestly. No one
But
remembers.
isn't
third
bronze
place.
like a better medal than silver? And yeah, look, anyway, what I was going with that is like, would you prefer the new Saints Row to be more like Saints Row 3 or Saints Row 4?
3, 100% 3.
Yeah, I'd still
Okay.
want to go more towards 3 because I do feel like that's the identity that Saints Row should be leaning towards.
So interesting take, but Saints Row Get Out of Hell, which I think of in a similar term to Infamous, not Second Son.
Festival
what was
of
the
Blood?
vampire? Thank you, Festival of Blood. I think that what they did in Get Out of Hell is a fantastic DLC, and they did it kind of as a DLC for 4, even though it's its own standalone game, because they initially wanted to call it Enter the Dominatrix.
Yeah,
But
I've heard of
but
that.
unfortunately, that didn't fly. So they ended up calling it Get Out of Hell. But that was really fun because while you're in there, that was exactly the kind of prototypey, infamous-y, all of that. That was great. But the problem is that was so far departed from my pinnacle of what I really liked about Saints Row in terms of Saints Row 3 that to have that turned into an entire game rather than kind of like a standalone side excursion for a couple hours, it just grew a bit tiring on me. So I would much prefer if the new Saints Row was more like 3 than 4.
Yeah, I completely get that.
Having said that, though, I am a big fan of, oh man, I don't remember the actor's name, but the president, saving the president in Saints Row 4. And it's almost kind of...
I haven't gotten to that part yet. Are you thinking of Saints Row 3 where you beat Burt Reynolds?
No, it's definitely not Burt Reynolds.
Because in Saints Row 4, you start off as the president.
Oh, shoot. You start off as...
Yeah, it isn't like the first. I remember like when it came out, like the first choice you have to make is like cure cancer or end world hunger or something.
Yeah,
I was like,
for the record,
okay.
I chose world hunger. Like, as much as cancer sucks,
Controversial.
I think curing world hunger will do a lot of good.
Population now, baby.
No,
the second hardest decision in the game is either punch a dickhead or punch a dick in the head. For that one, I chose punch a dickhead.
Okay, that's pretty good.
No, you're right. I'm just slightly misremembering then. Yeah, no, what I'm saying is I appreciate the absurdity of the story of Saints Row 4. I just wish that it wasn't so absurd in gameplay as it tends to be. Because we discussed it last week. Like the opening of Saints Row 3 is so strong. You rock up with Johnny Gat with a bunch of masks disguised as Johnny Gat.
Yeah, so Saints Row 4, they want to up the ante for opening up the game. So you're in the Middle East, chasing down Cyrus, who was a villain from the last game who got away because he was just part of the military. So you track him down in the Middle East because he's decided to back a terrorist organization.
Classic.
You knock him into a pool of lava, like pretty much right away. He sets off a nuke, so you run to the nuke, start climbing up it, as I Don't Want to Miss a Thing is playing as you're dismantling it in the air while everyone from the Saints is like over the radio giving you their final words saying how much you mean to them. My favorite ones being Aisha, the girl that just showed up for this mission, saying, okay, so I just kind of met you, but I guess you seemed nice. And Matt, I think his name is, also saying, hey, if I knew you were going to save the world, I wouldn't have tried killing you back then.
That's right, yeah. Matt's one of the, I want to say Cyber something. He's one of the faction leaders from 3.
Yeah. He was like the techno nerds in Saints Row 3.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. The NFT bros.
Yeah. Oh god, Matt would be an NFT bro.
Absolutely. He's got big NFT bro energy. What were you going to say, Steve?
I don't know. I think I got lost because I really couldn't keep up because I need to play 3 and 4.
Just play 3, honestly.
Well, I think I from what I've seen, and keep in mind this is like a million years ago, Saints Row 4 seems like the type of game that it's like you play it for like an hour or two and it's like, okay, I had fun. It's all the same after now, so you just put it down. Whereas Saints Row 3 tries to be more of a it's a GTA clone, but like it's taking the piss out of being a GTA clone. So it does it good.
Exactly. I think
from what Steph's saying, it seems like it's sort of in that vein.
3
but also at
self-aware,
the same
4
time,
turns it to 11.
Yeah, I'm still also very early on in the game. Like, I've basically just kind of gotten through the tutorial areas, and I'm just starting the game proper now. The last mission I did was where you're in a spacecraft trying to escape all the aliens. Well, hold on, let me double check what song it is, because they're also upping the ante on hype music in this game.
Meanwhile, Steve's sitting there like, aliens? What the fuck? Aren't you guys just a street gang?
It was What Is Love is playing as you're escaping the aliens.
Yeah, nice.
So getting back to the beginning of the game, after you dismantle the nuke, you jump down and it blows up while you're a safe distance away. But where you jumped was right over the Oval Office, and you just kind of crash into the president's seat and just take over as president. Then it just does a little bit of a time skip. Everything's going to hell because you're just some gangbanger that's taken over as president, and you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're ruining the entire country. And while that's happening, an alien invasion takes place, kidnaps everyone, puts you into a virtual simulation where the first thing you do is wake up in a 50s sitcom style level.
That's right. I remember that level. That level's... I really enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah, it's great. You just start walking and doing a little jig with every step as you're moving along. And you know something's up, but you can't do anything about it until you get to the diner, and then all hell starts breaking loose. You have to kill a cop after that. And yeah, that's where they tell you, hey, you're in a simulation. Steelport's like the alien sort of realm of power now. They've changed all the Saints clothing stores into alien clothing stores as an example of what they can do. They've also destroyed your house and all your penthouses. So it's just like now I'm up. So the first story beat after that is basically, hey, here's superpowers. Here's how they work. It's basically like a glitch in the system is happening. You can pick up all these data clusters, and they empower you. And then after just doing that for a little bit, you do the escape from the ship. As you're escaping, the aliens blow up the planet Earth. And so you go back to their mothership to try and take them out from the inside again. And you just willingly go back into the simulation to kind of overthrow their I guess the internals of all their computer technology. And that's kind of where I left off.
I do find it funny that Earth is canonically destroyed in Saints Row 4.
Yes. In the simulation, you're just stuck in the city from Saints Row 3.
I can't. I'm fucking lost, man.
just play Saints Row 3. Just play Saints Row 3.
It's basically a Matrix situation where you just kind of plug into a virtual reality.
Well, that's why they wanted to call the DLC Enter the Dominatrix. But yeah, I don't know. We've been talking about Saints Row for a bit. I enjoyed my time. I liked what it tried to do. I just don't think that it has the longevity of Saints Row 3. I still think of Saints Row 3 as the pinnacle of Saints Row. But based on what you played so far, I assume you're going to continue playing it this week. But what are your thoughts so far? What rating would you give it so far?
So far, I'd say probably maybe an 8. Like, it's not like top of the line, but I can't think of anything that would lower it more. I like a lot of the music choices in it. The mix is still the best radio station on there. They've just amped up all the 80s hype tracks in the game, and they're including them in more missions to make those missions more memorable. The gameplay loop I'm finding pretty fun. I'm just having fun going around doing collecting clusters. And also, I wanted to mention, again, I'm playing this co-op with Trinity. And something that's really nice about co-op is if your co-op partner picks up the clusters, it also counts for you. So it's just all one big collection instead of separated for the two players. That really cuts down on the collection time and made us really powerful basically right away.
That's cool.
Yeah, so maybe doing it co-op will also cut down on that kind of that feeling that you had where it feels like it's getting a little long in the tooth and samey over and over again.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, the amount of Saints Row chat we've had the past couple episodes, it makes me really want to just play Saints Row 3 again. Even just load up my old save just to run around and have fun.
Yeah,
I'm definitely considering it. 'Cause did they ever do a Saints Row 3 sort of remastered thing? Because I know they did something with 4 and putting it onto next gen is in the Xbox One.
I think they did, right? Because that's what you were talking about, Seth, last week.
Yeah, so
Saints, but it's okay. That's fine. Just pretend that you want to listen to the episode and play along. But there was a PS4 and a PS5 version of Saints Row 3. But
PS5.
Because you listened to last week's episode, you would know that Seth was having issues with the insurance fraud parts of Saints Row 4 because cars weren't popping in. And so we thought maybe it's just because it's a PS4 thing, but PS5 also sort of had the issue, but was also better in other ways because of all the input lag on PS4. I think that was about where we were at, but of course you know all this because you listened to episode 32 like all of our lovely listeners out there. But how am I doing so far, Seth?
You pretty much hit the nail on the head. So
See,
yeah,
and that's why I'm the host.
So yeah, Saints Row 3, there's a version of that game on everything. Saints Row 4, it's just PS4 and Xbox One. They haven't done a current gen port of that. Same with Get Out of Hell. Get Out of Hell is in the same situation as Saints Row 4 is. And we were also discussing how Saints Row 2 is on Steam.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I picked that up on sale, but I haven't actually played.
I should pick that up as well. I don't know where to track down Saints Row 1. That's the only one that's missing.
Neither. Yeah.
But yeah.
It's not good.
I've heard one's pretty rough.
It doesn't hold up. Like even when I think I would have played it like in 2015, it just doesn't hold up. Like maybe if you want to go back to it, you might be thinking, oh wow, they really made games like this hard, like this. I remember the shooting really, really bad and clunky, the driving being horse shit. Then when I played number two was so much better.
It's a good thing Saints Row 1 isn't coming out in a month, right?
Saints Row 2022, the same way we have to call God of War 2018.
Yep, that's the way.
I hate that so much in the current state of the industry.
Let me introduce you to the Xbox One and the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S.
And the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. See, even I'm getting confused. Final thoughts from you, Seth, before we move on.
Very fun game. I'll give a more in-depth thoughts of the game and how I think it stacks up to Saints Row 3 when I do finish the game. I don't know when that will be because I might be doing something else this weekend that's co-op related. But yeah.
Okay, you want to? So you mean Sunbreak, right?
No, I mean Game of the Year of 2022, Stranger of Paradise.
Oh, okay. Well, the second place Game of the Year. No, I see where you're coming from.
Sunbreak is DLC of the year.
You know what's not DLC of the year? Anything from Tiny Tina's. Anyway, going to move swiftly on from that. Thank you for that, Seth. Steve, why don't you tell us about Katamri Damacy, Garen from League of Legends.
Garrus from Mass Effect. So Seth, you've played Katamari. I'm just going to call it Katamari from now on, not to be confused with calamari. Pat, have you played it?
I have not. I've honestly never even heard of it until you stuck it in the docket for tonight.
Really? Holy shit.
Yeah, I haven't played it completely. I've only played a couple of levels, but I enjoyed those couple of levels I played.
Yeah, so this game came out in 2003, and it has a sequel. It has a sequel, and that they for whatever reason they chose not to redo the sequel, which from what my understanding is that my understanding that it's much better in every sense of the word, but for some reason they did the first one maybe to sort of test sales and all that type of thing. Fuck off. Okay, you have to cut this out because man, this is gonna
Yeah. Once you recover.
I'm like, oh. Ooh. Ugh.
Sorry, I was just going off Patrick's
it is
joke.
funny, but you edit it in post, right?
Yeah, I'll fix it in post. Don't worry.
Yeah. So it's leaving Xbox Game Pass on the 30th of July. So I thought I'd pick it up. It from what I've seen, it's not a very long game, but what it is though, I can't think of a good way to describe it. But the Wikipedia page describes it as a third-person puzzle action video game. Because essentially, what you're doing in this game is you are a Katamari, which is the son of like the supreme being leader of the universe who's wiped out all the stars in the sky.
So you're a Katamari. Are you Damacying?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
you're yelling Damacy and running Garen ult once you hit level 6.
I didn't get those references.
No.
But no, it's yeah. So it's like his dad is like the king of the entire universe or the king of the cosmos or whatever, and he's on like a massive bender and he knocks out all the stars in the sky. So he's like, oh well. You're my son. You love me. I gave you birth. You can fix my problem. So essentially, what you're doing is you're rolling.
That's
Sounds
the
like
main reason
every
why I
boomer.
have kids. Yeah.
Yeah, like classic. That's what I'm on. That's why we started this podcast, right? To fix the stars in the sky because we are the stars. So essentially, what you're doing is you are rolling things up into a ball, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And each level has a certain size the ball has to get to. But you're rolling like everyday household objects. Like, so for instance, you might start, I think the first level you start off at, you're 1 centimeter big, but you can only pick up objects that are smaller than 1 centimeters. And then you go into 2 centimeters and 3 centimeters and 4
why does
centimeters.
This sound like every mobile game ad?
Yeah, well, don't forget this game came out in 2003. You weren't playing games on your phone back then. But it's like you're rolling things up into a ball, and because things aren't, of course, like when you got like squares or other sort of shapes or triangles or really long things that attach themselves to the ball but aren't part of the ball, it can get like really wonky with how you're rolling the ball. Like it starts to do like weird.
Is the ball on a string attached to the cup?
Yes, and you got to keep trying to get the ball in a cup. But it exists in such a way that it makes sense, and like the more you pick up, the more you can pick up, and like you start the levels pretty small, and then by the end of it, like you'll start at like 10 centimeters big at one level, and then by the end of the level, you have to be like 1.5 meters, and you're like, oh shit, I can't do that. But then like as you're going around these rooms or outside, you're picking up more and more and more and more and more, and because you're picking up more and more, you can pick up bigger and bigger things, which sort of, for lack of a better analogy, snowballs. And makes it bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you start off like sucking in like thumbtacks and glue sticks and like small bottles. And then by the end of the level, you're sucking in cars and people and skyscrapers.
You're describing Kirby.
Yeah, no, I really want to highlight that what Steve is saying is like, you start off as this little tiny, you start off rolling this little tiny ball that, like you said, you can only pick up things that are smaller than the ball. So you'll just start off with like paper clips and thumbtacks. And within like you'll have like a time limit of like 5 minutes. By the time you hit like the 3-minute mark, you're starting to roll over the walls of the house to get outside and start just rolling up the entire town around you.
Yeah, it's like it's nuts. Like I knew going into this game because it's one of these games that it from what I've heard from just being on the internet and from like other friends, this game is so fucking weird. And it was weird at the time, and it's still weird now. But it exists in a way that no game has copied it, either like well or at all, just because it's so fucking weird. Like even the opening cutscene when you're watching the king of the galaxy or whatever the fuck he's called, going around like just the way he talks to you, the way he looks, the way he's pointing out all this
He's very
stars of the
flamboyant.
sky. Yeah, it exists in a way that it's just like, oh shit, this is very like intense, and then you get into this little ball and you're sort of pushing the ball around, absorbing things, and you've got this. I don't even know what to describe the genre of the music because the music changes in each level. There's like an electro one and a rock one, and it just seems like I'm on some sort of weird drug trip, and I don't really know how I got there, and the controls are really weird because it's like a twin stick sort of shooter thing. Like, so when you first started, everything feels a lot more clunkier, and then as you get better at using the two sticks to sort of move and change the camera and stuff, it does get a bit easier.
But then, like you mentioned before, there's also those objects that are like really weirdly shaped, and that'll throw off the entire game plan of how the ball's rolling. Like you'll have like you'll have like a perfectly spherical ball going, and then you'll accidentally roll over a roller, and now you got to deal with like a roller being a bump in the road and messing up your entire roll.
Yeah, and then you can't, if you've got like the ruler on like one side, you can't go that side anymore because it just sort of like wigs out and just tries to sort of go higher than what it can, and it's like, no, you got to go the other way. Like, and even since it came out in like 2003, the physics in this feel really good. Like, even though you are a ball collecting up more things and becoming bigger and bigger, but you never really feel you've gotten such a weird shape to the ball that it won't move anymore. There's always something you can do to sort of go to a different side of the ball and keep it rolling. If you get really desperate, you can just run into a wall and you'll shed a bit of the ball to be a bit smaller. But there are sort of different areas in the stage that you can only access when you're a certain size, or if you get too big, you can't fit through like the underlegs of a table. But in other places, you have to be like over 20 centimeters to sort of go through a sign. It is, without a doubt, probably the weirdest fucking game I've played in a while. It's
definitely weird. That's why I really wanted like your take on it, because I think the gameplay loop is really fun, but also there's so much weirdness in it. Like the King of All Cosmos is such a eccentric
that's
character.
What he's fucking called. Yeah, he's eccentric, and then it's sort of like a when you like fail a level, because essentially you've got like between, I think it's like you've got a certain time limit to get the ball to a certain size, and if you fail, it's just like a game over screen of him like yelling at you and your Katamri crying, and he's like, yeah, you're a disappointment, I knew you would be, I don't even know why I gave this to you, I knew you would fail. And
yeah, like, he puts you down really hard.
Yeah.
But then when you do good, he's very supportive.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, of course you did it, you're my son after all. And like it's when you like the first time you go into water, it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly the same spot where I fell into water, you are my son. Like it's crazy. Like I'm really enjoying it. I really, like, in the first hour or two while I was getting used to the controls, I was like, no, this is fucking shit. The controls are archaic, they're not fun, it doesn't make sense. But then, like, as you do get used to the controls, you do get used to the camera, you do get used to sort of how it works, for lack of another better analogy. You as the player do snowball, and you get better at making this Katamri snowball and getting bigger and bigger. And it's a weird way, it's like such a simple concept, but it's one of those simple to learn, sort of easy to get the grip of, but hard to sort of do it really well. And it's sort of like it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm about like 5 levels in, probably like 4 hours, I think, total. And and the music as well. The music is, because you can be in these levels for 15 minutes, the music is like the same song or the same track or whatever, but you never get to the end of the stage and it's like, okay, I'm sick of this, I never want to hear it again. It just sort of exists in a way that it's like, okay, this is a really good song, but you're sort of focused on collecting everything. You don't really get angry with it. But it's fantastic. I didn't know coming into this game what it was going to be, but I'm so glad that I did play it. It's fantastic.
So can I take the noose off now?
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, I just wanted to scare you.
I'm glad that you've been enjoying it though. Like, I haven't done like a full playthrough of Katamari Damacy. I've only played the first handful of levels, but it's a really enjoyable game, and really weird and abstract. But no,
I think what I'm finding is it's just different.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
and it's not different in a bad way. It's different in a. I've never played a game like this before.
Would
Yeah,
I
it's
be right
very
in saying
unique.
that it exists in the space between Knack and Super Monkey Ball?
Yes.
I played neither of those games, but you sure why not?
You, my friend, are missing out because Knack is the greatest game of all time.
Not to mention the
Yes.
greatest sequel, Knack 2.
Which
Too Knack, too furious.
real missed
Yeah, but
opportunity to call the sequel Nick Knack.
Yeah,
I know,
Paddywhack.
right?
That's the number 3 is going to be called Paddywhack. But yeah,
And
it's
the
just
fourth one will just be called Revengeance.
Rising. World. It's yeah. I cannot recommend this game enough to people. Like it looks pretty good. It does sort of have a bit of like there's no auto saves in the game, and if like because the levels are like 15 or up to 15 minutes long. Like I failed one this morning, and I'm like, well, that's 15 minutes of my life. I'm never getting back. And you don't really feel like as if you've gotten better. It's just like, oh, I got stuck or I didn't know where to go in the stage. So it sort of does feel a bit like, oh, shit, like maybe this time wasn't enough. But then like you definitely get it on the second one because you sort of know where to go. But no, I'm really enjoying it.
See, I can recommend good games.
It's just fucking weird. Like in the first like hour or 2 hours, like I fucking hate this game. The controls are pretty rough. The camera control especially. But I'm not sure. I'm still torn on the idea of are the controls clunky because it was made in 2003, or is it innovative in half the challenges working with the controls?
I think it's a little of both.
Yeah, I think that's sort of where I'm sitting as well. Like when I can sort of work out my monkey fingers into how the best way to move the camera and then move at the same time or get enough momentum to sort of just go around it. It does sort of work, but I feel like but I'm not sure if it's just I'm frustrated with the controls or I'm frustrated in me not being aware of the controls. But I'd highly recommend anybody to even look out like videos of this game because it's just
It's not an expensive
fucking
game
insane.
either. I just checked it up on Steam and it's only $30 there.
Well, it's a HD remake of a 2003 game. I'll have you that what you may. I could probably recommend this really well, especially on the Switch, because like it's. Yeah,
there is a Switch version of this.
Yeah, it's pretty much on It's on everything now.
I'm pretty sure they even had a Vita version at one point, or a Vita Katamri game. And they had things like using the back touchpad to like stretch out the ball into like a line oval and other weird things.
That'd be sick. But yeah, like I'd probably recommend it more so on the Switch because like on the go you do one level, you put it down, that's it, you live in the life. And probably what did Switch call it? The quick pause feature they do when you go to home. That probably does a lot of favors. But yeah,
the snitch, I think, or the quitch.
No, that's the snitch is the Switch that got killed because he was speaking to the cops. I think it's the Switch.
Yeah, no, you're right. It probably was that one actually. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so I reckon I'd probably give this game. It's so hard to rate because I can't really compare it to it. Like I'm having a good time, but I'm a bit worried that it's like more of the same the more levels I go on. So maybe I'll sort of get burnt out towards the end. But I think it sort of depends on how long it goes for. So I think I'd say it's a tentative 8.
I also think that as you go on, more levels try to throw in more gimmicks to vary up the rolling situation. So it's not just go roll everything. There's like little other things you got to be aware of.
Yeah. Well, I'll see how I go. I'll report it next week, but it's a tentative 8 at the moment.
Okay, cool. Didn't really have a follow-up. Cool. Thank you for that, Steve. Right. I guess we talk about Sunbreak for the next 4 hours. How does that sound?
Can I do my quick funny life update first?
Was it not playing Saints Row 4 and being stuck in the Animus?
No. It was an actual thing that like it's a piece of news that came out that's not like a game related thing, but is something that I think was really interesting, and it might just be only me that has anything to say about this.
Wait, you're pregnant?
No.
Congratulations.
Not yet.
Can't wait to meet Steven. Not yet. I can't wait to meet Steven Jr.
Oh my god.
I'm cutting that out. Anyway, yeah, just so my we mentioned before that I was leaving my
Steve,
job.
Why would you name a Vaporeon Steve Jr.?
Did you know?
No, I did not know. Can you tell me?
Well, I mean, like, you know, Pokemon eggs always take the form of the mother, so I just assumed that it would be a Vaporeon. Would it? No. And anyway, no, we're getting off topic. What were you saying, Steph?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I just left my job at Animal Logic, and just today that they announced that Netflix is buying out that entire studio, that entire company. They are now being owned by Netflix. I don't really know where I was going to go with this outside of just saying that. I just thought it was a really funny thing to bring up.
So you lost out on a shit ton of money, is what you're saying?
No, I was working on a Netflix show while I was there. So
Can you talk about the show?
Yeah, I can. I was working on a Magician's Elephant.
I don't know what that is.
It is a children's book. So I can lend you it.
It's about an elephant, but he has a magician for a sidekick.
Isn't this Now You See Me 3?
Yes. No, so I guess what I would really want to say is I'm not really surprised since I was working on a Netflix thing, so I can see the connection of Netflix will want to buy this studio at some point to do animated feature films. But at the same time, I'm very surprised because Netflix just cut their entire animation division not too long ago. It seems like
money to make money.
Yeah, it's a really weird situation just looking at it from like what's Netflix's end goal. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that.
Right.
Did you get Krispy Kreme up?
I did not.
Yeah, actually, good. Well, fucking, I
actually, I went and saw Australia versus England, like the rugby union game on the weekend, and I got Portuguese donuts. Those are pretty nice.
Yeah, you said that you got a non-Krispy Kreme donut, so we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I believe the words were. Right. I believe Patrick's words were, "Don't care, didn't ask."
I'm telling you anyway, big fella.
Drats.
I didn't care, didn't ask about you not caring.
Outsmarted again. Right. Well, so now we're ready to talk about Sunbreak for 4 hours, right?
Yes.
Yeah, nice. So in Sunbreak, right? So you're gonna break the you gotta break the sun.
I like the hammer.
Yeah, I have been playing a bunch more Sunbreak, but I've also been playing a bit of Outer Wilds. Gonna discuss that. So Outer Wilds, I actually have no idea when it came out initially.
I think it was 2018,
I believe. 2018, right. I played it in 2020.
Outer Wilds came out
2019, baby.
Yeah, this is the one time that just Google does not show the release date on the fucking Google page.
It's on you guys on the Wikipedia page?
What do you mean?
May 28th, 2019.
Oh, yeah, 2019. So I'm playing it now. Which as we alluded to in FTL
oh god,
times,
Outer Wilds. Sorry, the entire time you were saying this Outer Wilds before, I was thinking of the Outer Worlds.
Wait,
yeah.
so
the Wikipedia article even starts with Outer Wilds, not to be confused with the Outer Worlds.
The Outer Worlds, yeah. They came out roughly around the same time as well. Just to make things more confusing.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Patrick, but go on. I just really got like shocked by, oh right, it was this game, not the other one.
So, somewhere in the last 5 years, which again for FTL is basically a new release, Outer Wilds came out. And so that is a fun little exploration-y mystery-y story-based game. And it's got a bunch of interesting physics in there, in that you start on a planet, but very quickly you figure out how to leave the planet, and you get to explore the solar system. And I'm very glad that it's not built to scale, because there is no way that a ship should be able to travel as fast as it does between different planets, at least at the scale of the solar system that we're at. But you have 24 minutes, because at the end of 24 minutes, one minute is an hour of the day, but at the end of 24 minutes, the sun explodes and you die. So you need to figure out basically all the mysteries of the universe in just in time. And it's interesting comparing it to Deathloop, because that was another kind of time-based do what you can game from a few episodes ago. Shout out to a few episodes ago. So Outer Wilds is interesting in that it's not the sort of game that you play through distinct time periods of. You're playing through a continuous 24-minute loop. So, as I have found out, you might be exploring something interesting, and there are just things that are stopping you from continuing to explore it, like sand constantly rising, or ice that that will only melt when you're in particular proximity to something else. So it's very dynamic, and it's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing in places. The major things that it has going for it, the solar system is a fun thing to explore. The controls are fairly standard, smooth, what you expect, and the story is, I'm actually not sure what about the story. It's interesting in some ways, but so much of the draw for Outer Wilds depends on you getting sucked into the story. And I don't know that the story has grabbed me like even like Deathloop did. And I think the reason for that is because it's an indie game, at least as far as I know. I'm pretty sure it's an indie game. But yeah, cool. So it's an indie game. But it has the Pokemon Arceus problem of no voice acting. But the problem is you don't interact with people, you interact with text. And so even though Arceus, Pokemon Legends colon Arceus, sorry Steve, I know you're probably getting upset at that. Pokemon Legends colon Arceus, yeah, there we go. Yeah, gotta do it right. Even though that didn't have any voice acting, it was still you dealing in mostly one-to-one situations with very distinct characters. But Outer Wilds also doesn't have voice acting, but you're not dealing with characters, you're dealing with just text that you're reading. And a lot of the text that you read is from an ancient civilization that died out like 1,000 years ago. It's like an ancient alien race that died out suddenly. And I assume, because I haven't finished it yet, I honestly have no idea how far through the game I am, because it is really good at not giving you any indication of how close you are to finishing. Like, Deathloop, within 10 minutes, was like, you need to kill all of these people to break the loop. And so that's your objective the entire time. Outer Wilds is just, go explore. Fucking have fun.
Well, that's I really like that. It's more about you looking like there's a mystery, and it's like you gotta solve the mystery. Like that's the premise.
Yeah, I understand the appeal of that, but the problem is that relies heavily on the story grabbing you, as I say. But the lack of voice acting, like the biggest issue for me is the biggest issue for me is that like I suspect, and I'll never know this whether or not this is the case, but I suspect I've been reading text from the same few characters over and over again, but they don't have distinct character voices, and it's entirely a me problem, but it makes it so much harder to appreciate the crafted dialogue, because you only know who you're talking to based on who they like name and when another character names them. So it's really hard to form relationships with these, in almost every case, kind of ancient history beings. And I was trying to describe this because a few people I know have said that Outer Wilds is a really good game, that I'd enjoy it. And I definitely enjoy parts of it, but I've been trying to figure out what it is that's been a bit harder for me to enjoy about it. I think it's kind of... I think it runs close to something like Last of Us Part 1, where you'll just be in like a house, or you'll be in a particular setting, and you'll figure out what happened to the original owner of that house. And that is kind of analogous to figuring out what happened to this ancient alien race. But the problem is, there seems to be a fairly distinct disconnect between the consequences for that being from however many years in the past and you now. And that kind of takes me out of it a bit because, yes, I only have 24 minutes before the sun explodes. But what I can do with that time, because it's constantly dynamically moving, it's not like playing at different time points like Deathloop is. It puts this weird amount of pressure on you, and it makes it hard to it makes it hard to enjoy some of the exploration. And what I mean by that is that there's like a persistent log of what you've done, right? So there's a persistent log like, you've been to this planet, you figured this thing out, blah, 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 blah. And really early on, they're very simple steps. Go to this planet, talk to this person, find the source of this music, all that stuff. That's fine. But if you hit all of that low-hanging fruit, sometimes you just get to points where you're like, okay, well, chances are I only have maybe 5 minutes left of this run. But I don't think those 5 minutes is worth me trying to do this next objective, because I could start on that and then just never finish it, and then it won't be worthwhile. So then you become more incentivized to restart the loop. And it's just little things. It's just little, they're not even annoyances. It's such a different game to a lot of things that I've played recently that it's just kind of hard for me to adapt. I hope that makes sense.
I completely understand what you mean. Like, I nearly bounced off it when I first started playing it, and it is one of those games that it does take a little bit of time to sort of get into the groove. But it's not for everyone, which is a rough thing to say, especially like once you've paid money for it, and you won't know if it's for you until you've put in the time and the money for it. I found myself probably being compelled by solving the mystery as opposed to more of the story element to it. But I guess the mystery is the story element.
Yeah, that's what I was getting the impression of, like, trying to figure out the time loop was the story and like the hook of the
it's definitely
the adventure.
Part of it. Yeah. I think it's an interesting. First of all, there's a lot that the game does that I really like. I should say that up front. But the problem that I have, which again is a very specific to me issue, I'm gonna end up having to compare this to Deathloop, right? Because Deathloop is the most recent game that I played that is in some ways overlapping with what this game tries to do. And in Deathloop, it's very clear what your objective is. The whole, you could do as many loops as you want, and the objective is you need to do this thing, and it is conceptually not very hard to do that thing. Even if you fail it, you know what it is that you're doing. Outer Wilds takes the opposite approach, where it doesn't tell you what you're doing. You're expected to kind of figure it out, and you have a bunch of different leads that you can pursue and that kind of stuff. But because there's also puzzle elements, it just gets a little bit hard because you have a fixed timer of 24 minutes. And like, what's really interesting is that I actually had a bit of a change of heart. So 2 nights ago, I was in a bit of a lull, right? So many of my leads were, you found this room that had this thing in it, and it doesn't tell you anything about what to do with that information. It just says, you have this information now. And the implication is that information will be useful in some way, but it's not going to tell you how that information is useful. And so it's like, oh, you found this room with this skull in it that you can't access. And so you sit there looking at it like, okay, well, what the fuck am I doing? What is the point? Why am I here? But I discovered a lost settlement from the previous alien race last night, and that suddenly reinvigorated my interest in it. And so it was like, okay, I can't wait to. I ran out of time discovering it. The sun exploded. I died. Oh no, boohoo! I really want to come back, and I really want to continue exploring this place. So it's real. It feels real stoppy-starty, and it's real hard to figure out if I like that or not, because honestly, I just don't know.
Yeah, and some of this probably shouldn't be a spoiler to you, but not all the things you pick up will be useful to solving the mystery. Sometimes it's sort of like oh, that's an interesting little fact about the previous civilization or something.
Yeah, and the problem too is that in the run that I did last night, so it gives you a distinct audio cue. I actually really like the music in the game, but it gives you a distinct musical cue when you got 1 minute left before the sun explodes. And so, because I was reading text, I made the decision to I won't read any of this text. I will just scan it in, and anything that is useful will be recorded by the ship computer as if it were part of an objective. And I'm really annoyed in some ways that the game puts me in a position where that makes sense to do, because I feel like I'm shortchanging myself and shortchanging the developers behind the game if that's the incentive structure at the end of a run. But at the same time, there's nothing else I can do. I don't know. I can't guarantee that I'll be back here in the same circumstances that I am now. So I want to try and take as much information in as I can, even if that means I don't read it, but I just scan as much of it in as I can to summarize anything for the ship's computer for the objectives, and then I continue with the leads that way. Yeah, I don't really have a huge amount more to say. As I say, I honestly have no idea how far through the game I am. I appreciate a lot of what it does. I have a few issues about some of the stuff it does, as I think I've highlighted, but I kind of hope, I honestly don't know if I'll have it finished next week because I just have no idea where I am, but I kind of hope that I'll have it finished next week.
I did have one more question before you wrap it up, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I noticed like very exploration heavy, and but you've been talking about like the game's giving you objectives and the computer's helping you point everything in like a right direction. Is it like do you feel like it's been a linear experience, or do you still feel like you have like this sense of like I can kind of go anywhere and like maybe find something off the beaten path or find a clue early and like have some sort of freedom around the exploration?
So it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I've been so my mate who's been telling me to play it for ages has been really keen to see how I've been approaching it and whether or not I enjoy it. And his comment was actually really interesting, in that he was saying because he's watching me read the dialogue, is now appreciating more of the craft of the dialogue and structure and other bits and pieces. But at the same time, he's saying he's noticed that I have found clues, if that's the right word. I have done objectives in a different order to him, such that the next thing that I want to do for how long I've been playing is quite different to what he chose to do at the same point.
Oh, that's cool.
In that sense, it is quite open-ended. The way that they achieve that is there's a list of 3-ish, up to 5. I actually don't know the number, but let's say ballpark up to 5 different mechanics in the game. And it's a double-edged sword for me, in that different mechanics will be in play for different objectives. What I mean by that is, one of the mechanics on a particular planet is that there will just be these spiky plants in the way. And I assume at some point I will figure out a way to deal with the spiky plants, whether that's finding a way around them or having some sort of equipment to get rid of them in some way. I don't know, because I haven't done that. But on a counterpoint, there are particular areas that teach you how some of these objectives work. So now I have done the tutorial, if you want to call it that, I'm using air quotes, of how one of they call it like a quantum mechanic works. And so if I did this quantum mechanic tutorial at a different time to when my friend did it on his playthrough, we would then be able to piece different objectives together, because we wouldn't be impeded by the same mechanics. And I say that's a double-edged sword, because one of the mechanics is you need to use something to determine where ghost material is, and ghost material will kill you if you stand in it. And I fucking hate this mechanic.
Yeah, the ghost material is the fucking shittest part of the game. Like it
definitely feels that way.
It feels like out of place. It's not. It feels like it's blocking you and trying to make you, like, most of the solutions you can sort of work out by either like stumbling through it, but the ghost mechanic does really make you sort of use your tools to the best, like that you can through that sentry sort of pod robot thing.
That's the scout launcher.
Scout launcher. Yeah, and it does do some really cool things for it, like later on. But there are parts of it where it's like this doesn't like suit in. It doesn't fit with what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And
how are you finding? Sorry, you go.
Well, just to finish on the ghost thing. So the problem is, I've done the tutorial for the quantum thing, for the quantum mechanic thing, right? Like first time you approach the quantum mechanic, you're like, oh, this mechanic is weird. I think I figured out the rules, but I don't quite know. And then the tutorial makes it really clear what the rules are. And you're like, okay, great, boom, I've got it figured out. I know how the quantum mechanic works. I expected that there will be something similar to that for this ghost material, and because I've now played it more, I don't think that's the case, because I think the mechanic is just what it says on the tin. If you walk into the material, you die, and there's no weird like you can get around it this way, or you can do something about it. I don't think that's the case anymore. But the problem is, because the game sets up all of these mechanics on the same plane, it makes me think that eventually, much like in Sly 4, I'm just missing the information needed to overcome this obstacle. But that's now a problem, because the way to overcome ghost material and the way to overcome, say, the quantum mechanic is I have agency over the quantum mechanic. I don't have agency over the ghost material. And so it gets really frustrating when there's something that I really want to continue exploring, or like a particular lead or plot line that I want to continue, and I'm blocked by the ghost material, because it feels like I just need to go figure out what the trick is and then come back. But I don't know that that's the case now. And so a lot of the really interesting plot points to me specifically are blocked or in some way related to dealing with ghost material. Although, having said that, final point, and then I'll throw it back to you, Steve. The game did do a really good job. I fucking hated the ghost material. There's one situation that I found so far, there might be others, where I really appreciated how they used the ghost material mechanic in an interesting way, which I guess for you, Steve, is on the interloper. I don't think that's a spoiler for anyone, but I appreciated using the mechanic in an interesting way, but I still fucking hate it.
Yeah, you're thinking when like you've got to put the scout through the thing, you got to take pictures of where it exists. Yeah. I thought that was really well done, but figuring it out was literally the most ooga booga brute force thing. Oh, it works like this now.
Yeah.
On my fucking third rotation. Like, cool, fuck yeah. Yeah, I do take all your points, and I find it really interesting how other people approach this game. Because I sort of...
That's the weird sort of meta level analysis of this, right? Like, I think everyone that plays this game will play it in a slightly different way.
I don't even think it's a slightly different way. I think like you could literally do like a million different things and still sort of come to the same conclusion eventually, because you don't have to do anything in the same order.
Yeah.
It's just very... I definitely, at the start, probably the first 2 hours I was playing, I sort of didn't really get it. I was sort of going around searching, translating, finding what I could, and thinking that I could go further in a certain place, but I wouldn't be able to. But then it gets to a weird moment where it's like you start piecing some things together, you look at your internal log and like it's drawing all these connections, and you're like, oh, okay, so these things link together. Oh, I didn't think of going back and checking them out again now that I've got all three of the clues and checking it out. I'm still not sure what I think about the ship flight controls. What are your thoughts on those?
I didn't have any issues.
Really? Oh, man.
Autopilot has killed me once or twice. I'll give it that.
Yeah,
but
shit.
I don't know why. To me, it feels very similar to flying. I don't remember what the PSVR demo is, but I played a PSVR demo of a similar kind of thing. Of it's very if you go to a planet, the planet is just a sphere, so you can fly around the planet. And so to land on a planet, you need to like land in a particular way and other bits and pieces. So I don't know. I guess I'm just naturally attuned to flying like that, and I don't have any issues.
Yeah, it took me like a fair bit to get the hang of it, and even like after I'd very close to the end, I was still like fucking up or going out of control. But maybe that's just I just maybe I went into that game thinking the flight would be a bit different to us.
Yeah,
to be honest, I don't really play a lot of
fair.
games with flight.
What I mean by that is that my mate who was watching me play it was also surprised at how quickly I picked up the flight controls because
Okay,
he was also expecting me to like fuck around and destroy the ship multiple times. But yeah, I clicked with the controls much faster than I think most people did. And that just comes down to like, you know, I enjoy playing Ace Combat. I enjoy playing other bits and pieces that just have non-standard controls. So I guess I'm just used to someone doing a weird control scheme.
Cool.
Yeah, I think on a good run, Outer Wilds is really fun. On a bad run, it's not boring. It's just really frustrating. So
and you feel like you've wasted your time. Like you've made no progress, or you thought you were going to do something and you didn't, and it's like, and then you get to a point like, okay, the sun's exploding. All right, I've got to wait for this to do.
Exactly.
I do like how it plays those three keys just before the sun explodes. I think that's fucking sick.
It is. It's really cool in that way. And there are tons of little moments where you'll just be walking around a planet and you'll just look. I'm a massive fan of just the kind of compact solar system type thing of you look up and there's the sun and there's also planets just near the sun.
Yeah, you can see the other. I think that is really cool. Yeah.
And the fact that Outer Wilds lets you fly to all of the planets that you can see, really cool. I really like all of that. So that's why I say overall, it's really hard to score it. I'd give it like a 7.5 just because I don't know where to score it right now. It's something that I want to continue playing, so it's above a 5. It's not something that I've had an immense amount of joy the whole time, so it's not like an 8 or a 9, but it hasn't been that detrimental other than a couple parts. So I think 7.5 for now, but I'm expecting if I finish it next week, I'll probably give it like an 8 or a 9 because that's what everyone ballpark tells me it's good enough to match. But I've been talking about it for a while now, so I'm probably going to finish. Any final thoughts from you, Steve?
No, I really like. I reckon that the Outer Wilds is probably one of my probably top 5 or top 10 games of all time for me.
Oh damn, that's some high praise.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic game. I do understand that it's not for everybody. Like I literally cannot recommend this game enough, but at the same time, it does get a bit frustrating at the start, and it's I've had a couple of people that I've recommended it to. They've like spent 2 or 3 hours and it's like, I don't like this game at all. And that's fine. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be for everyone, but I really like it. They did bring out DLC last year that I really need to do. And I'll get there eventually when my backlog eases up, right, fellas?
Once Game Pass goes away, right? At the end of the month. No, final thing I was saying that I was actually in that boat. I got forced somewhat. I got strong-armed into playing the first maybe hour or two, first couple runs, just on someone else's. I I was at a mate's house and he was like, "Oh, you should try Outer Wilds," and then just gave me the controller for like an hour, and I struggled. I really didn't like it. I didn't know what I was doing. There was no direction. But coming back to it now, it's like, okay, I've now figured out. I've gotten over the hump of wanting to play the game. I now want to play the game. There are just a few parts which I've already spoken about the things that are detracting from that experience. But yeah, I'm super curious to see where it goes, and I'm super curious to see how it wraps together and wraps up and stuff. Final point, the black hole physics, disappointing, actually.
Really? I liked them. I thought they were good.
The graphical warping of a black hole is not realistic.
Yeah, I didn't think it was realistic, but I still think it's like neat.
Oh, it's absolutely neat. But I was looking at it like, it's a shame that I understand more of how a black hole like works. That I know that this isn't a reflection of reality. I say, as I play an alien in a solar system that's way too small on a game that does not pride itself on its physics engine. Anyway,
or a video game that it's a video game. It's not real, man.
It's true. That's all I have to say about that. That brings us to the end of Round the Lounge for this week, which means we get to move on to part 2 for this week, which is, of course, the news. Starting off, we have some breaking news. Saif refused to put this in the doc. He wanted to deliver it to us personally. Seth, what have you got? What have you got for us?
Yeah, okay, so I had a test audience with this one, and it seemed to cause some strokes, so I just wanted to prepare you guys for that. The title is Platinum Games teases Platinum Games Reborn as it hires former Nintendo executive. All will be revealed on July 20, which, alright, that's already happened.
It's yesterday, big fella. It should be out. It sounds pretty shit. I'll tell you that much.
I'm just... I'm all in on Platinum Games just like after Babylon's Fall going, you know what we need? We need to rise from the ashes like the Phoenix. We just
Phoenix Rising, perhaps.
Yeah, that was a Ubisoft game though.
Ah, fuck.
So I have a list of details that were announced. Platinum Games is working on a new in-house IP that, besides Project GG, which is Hideki Kamiya's newest game, they're also working on multiple unannounced games for other publishers that are on different scales of development, like some small games and some large games.
Are they all part of live service support for Babylon's Fall?
God, I hope not. And then there's just general like company stuff, like they plan to hire more people. The new hire Yamane will be responsible for their publishing division. Not too much of like our interest there, but for me personally, this one's important to me. They gave a little bit of an update on Project GG. Is going to have a standout core feature that's like Witch Time or Unite Morph that was in the past Kamiya games. So just some big new gimmick for the action game series. Has greatly expanded in scope since the teaser was shown off. And most importantly, the Shiba Inu that was shown in the original teaser trailer will in fact be in the game.
Oh, excellent news. Best news I've heard all day.
Oh man, I don't care about that. Video games, right?
Indeed. Okay, we can move on to the new cycle proper.
Yeah. Isn't this the one that apparently the rumor is that they've approached Xbox to publish it, or is this a different one?
That's a different one. Yeah.
A different one? It's Scalebound, right?
Yeah. Oh, right. There was a news article recently about Platinum Games approaching Xbox, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think it was a rumor though, so I'm not actually sure if you want to.
Yeah, if it's just a rumor, then I guess we can skip on it. But
if there was and we covered it, let us know what episode that was in.
just quick
time for a test.
Like, it's if it is true, man, I hope that works out better for them than Scalebound did. I'd be surprised that Platinum Games worked with Microsoft again after how badly that went.
It should be alright. Yeah, interesting. Platinum's always got ideas, whether they're good ones or not. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. That really didn't make me see it as much as I thought it would. But yeah.
Anyway, next up on the list, we have the thing that we alluded to last week or the week before. I forget which.
Both.
But, Cole's. Okay.
Remember, we scrapped the news segment from the week before last.
True, so it was last week.
Ooh.
Is that a cartoonishly large gulping sound coming from Steve's mic? Couldn't tell. Because his hard drive's full. Anyway,
no, it's from Josh's.
We have Cole's Legacy DLC for Infamous Second Son, as we talked about, now being freely available through the PlayStation Store. And as part of that, the user-generated... Wait, was it user-generated content was the other part? Was continuing to get support? Yeah.
Yep, they just finished maintenance on those servers as well.
Yeah.
They also mentioned that they're working on getting Fetch's DUP outfit into Infamous First Light.
Sweet.
Yeah, so
I
do want to play through the Infamous games again at some point. They're very, very good games I've been meaning to revisit. And Infamous Second Son got a huge boost on PS5 that makes it worth checking out again.
Oh, yeah. I really liked Infamous 2 more than Infamous 1. Like, Infamous 1 was great, but Infamous 2 was like the perfect sequel, like Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
If I had a PlayStation, I would really want to play through Infamous 2 again. But yeah, so that's cool. I mean, it's no Sly 5, but sucker punch got a sucker punch, I guess. Anyway, next up on the list we have one of the Last of Us co-directors going and founding a new studio called what are we at? Wildflower Interactive.
Yep.
Which
Bruce Straley, who was by some rumored
What a name!
by some
What a
rumored
name.
accounts, is the person that had a leash on Neil Druckmann for The Last of Us 1 and reeling in all the bad ideas.
Oh,
No, this that's
Oh, he's
I
got-
mean that in a good way. Bruce Straley was the guy that kept The Last of Us 1 in line to be as good as it was. He
Well, The
wasn't
Last of Us
around
2
for
got-
that game. He left after The Last of Us 1. Actually, I think he
That's
left
what I'm saying.
after
That's what I'm
Uncharted
saying.
4. I think he left Naughty Dog after Uncharted 4. But yeah, good to see that he's
Neat.
doing his own thing now. I hope that goes really well for him.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of open positions. So if you happen to want a job, I don't know. I don't know how we shout out like working for these places, but yeah, they're also hiring. They've got a bunch of roles on their website.
If you have game industry experience or want to get in there, check out their website.
Do you reckon you need like programming experience? Like I've played video games. Like I'm more of the ideas man. They
I
probably
reckon
want
you'd be a
someone
good
like
fit for
me, don't
CEO, honestly.
they? Yeah, you're right.
Just put stock into them.
You're right. Just give money.
I think what is interesting is that on the hiring page for the studio, they say even if you don't see the role that you think you'd be good at, that you should drop them a line anyway, because they're open to discuss contract so they are open to discuss contract possibilities, but everything listed, at least for the places they're hiring for, is full time, which is
Full-time work is always good.
Well, I want to say, actually, I don't know based on the size of the studio, but given how much shit you see in the media about particularly contract workers in the game space getting fucked over by various workplace policies, it's cool that they state on their website, hey, every one of these roles that we're hiring for is a full-time position, but we can discuss if you want it to be contract.
Yeah, and they're also 100% remote.
So yeah, it's cool to see. Hope it goes well.
That's pretty good.
Seems like they want to do artsy stylized games. Sweet, I like artsy stylized games. Speaking of artsy stylized games, multiverses. We have I don't know if you'd call it report, but
Just a
some
statistic.
yeah, God, that's a way to package the fact. We have some statistics that show that the lovely free-to-play game that is Multiverses, shout out to anyone that made it into the closed beta. It's now in open beta for everyone, I think.
Me.
Only people who joined in at
Yes.
the alpha or got one of the drops. The
No,
open
I
beta.
thought-
The open beta
open
fully
beta not now?
launches like next week, I think.
Okay, right. That'll be
Yeah,
what I'm thinking of.
it's in early access for specific people right now.
Yeah, gotcha,
me
gotcha.
and Steve included. You too, Patrick, since you redeemed the
Yeah, I
alpha
know.
key.
Yeah, I know I'm part of that list. I know I'm on the list.
I
Good plan,
played
fellas.
earlier today actually, and I ran
So did I.
into an Xbox player who bought the $150 Australian edition of the game.
Jesus. So how can you tell? Is it like premium
They had a
skins or something
premium
you can't
nameplate,
earn?
which is only available on the $150 tier.
Well, you'll find, Steve, that when you fight them, you
Ooh.
don't do any damage, and they do triple damage to you.
I don't think you actually get any gameplay
Teleports behind
buffs
you.
for buying it. It's just character
No,
unlocks
no,
and
they
stuff.
Nah,
they
they're-
rolled that out.
yeah,
ages
from what
ago.
I've
They
seen.
don't want to do gameplay changes.
No,
with
I mean
skins,
like
which-
early unlocks and
Yeah.
like the progression of characters. More of, I mean.
Yeah, all the things you can buy in that game are only like
Yeah.
skins or cosmetic that don't affect gameplay, which is pretty good.
Yeah, although in the same vein, so the whole point of the article talks about how it would cost $250 to buy everything that you can't get through playing the game, which, I mean, we've had a lot of Diablo Immortal news and headlines recently about how much it would cost to get that stuff that you can't get from playing the game. So weirdly, 250 seems reasonable.
To break it down into smaller statistics, there's 13 character skins that can only be bought with real money that costs at least $125. 9 ring out VFX, which will bring up to $85. 13 taunts, which is $50. 2 stickers, which is $5, and 1 banner, which is another $5.
And then they calculated the total based on how cheap it would be to buy the in-game currency required to redeem for all of those things. So that's where the $250 figure comes from. Yeah, because, you know, like every other free-to-play / mobile game, they have premium currency that you have to put real money into and then exchange for skins. I don't know. Gut feeling to this, I think it could be much worse, which I'm glad at in the day and age of just shitty marketing tactics, but it's still not ideal if it's above, like, $250 seems like a lot for what would otherwise be buying. Like, I equate this to Smash Bros. Ultimate, right? Which you pay $100 up front, and then you get everything.
Yeah. The thing that, like, upsets me the most about it is the difference in how many things are earnable in game versus how many are premium currency only. So the one that matters the most to me is character skins, and so far there's 17 in total in the game that can be earned, unlocks, and 13 of those are only through buying them. So that means you can only get 4 skins at the moment across the entire game through gameplay.
God, don't you just hate it when you just have so many foreskins lying around?
Nothing but foreskin, if you're asking me, to be
really
honest.
should do something about that. Yeah, I plan on booting up Multiverses again this weekend. I really hope they fix the crippling lag that I got last time. It didn't stop me winning as mages.
Oh, people having access to the open beta means that I'm actually getting worse connections now because it means it's less selective of who gets into the game.
That is so much worse for me.
It's not open, but it's open next
but you
week.
can also buy access to it, and people with bad connections are just buying the game to get in early. And yeah, I've already ran into multiple bad connections while the alpha was mostly a good experience for me.
Yeah, I had a couple of games when I got home from work today. It wasn't too bad. I had no lag issues, but I only played like 6 or 7 games.
I only played like 3
really
days.
Really fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Look, it's free, right?
For now. I know that Josh is a big fan. He's waiting excitedly for it to come out. Probably playing it now, the bastard. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Moving on from that though, some bittersweet news. I say bittersweet because the Skate series is near and dear to my heart. And so on one hand, I am so excited that they are bringing it back and continuing with the franchise. But they are making it so clear that this is not going to be Skate 4, and they have no intentions of doing a Skate 5 to 10 because they want Skate, which again is like Saints Row and God of War and everything else, because we have Skate 1, and this is Skate 2022 or 2020. Actually, I don't think there's a release date. Skate when it comes out, because they want it to take as long as it needs to in development, which I guess is fine.
I don't think you should even label it as Skate. Yeah, I think you should label it as Skate, the live service.
Yeah, but the fact that they're targeting it as a live service. So for me, this is like what we it was a few weeks ago now. We touched on the thing that reminded me a lot of not Valorant. No,
Overwatch?
it's in that same vein. The one that died.
Battleborn?
No.
Battleborn.
No, I know why you'd think Battleborn, but no. Funnily enough, that wasn't what I was thinking of. The third game. Punishes 3. No, shoot, what was it? The one in the city. They like cops and robbers game.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Lawbreakers.
Yeah. Thank you, Lawbreakers.
Lawbreakers.
The Cliffy B game.
Where we covered.
Wait, is it Lawbreakers or Warbreakers?
Nah, Lawbreakers.
Because it was cops and robbers.
Yep. You cops and robbers, yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that, Saif. Well played. we covered that thing, the new IP, but it's in a similar kind of vein of the little teams of three, partially PvE, partially PvP. And I said there were a whole bunch of red flags on this that makes me think it's not going to be that great when it comes out. Just based on the red flags.
Oh, you mean that
targeting
game?
development.
That game?
Yeah, that game. I don't remember.
That was
of it.
hyenas.
Sure, why not? But the point is, I'm seeing some of the same red flags in Skate 2020X as that game, where I don't know about you guys, but when I see an article talking about we're content, like we want to do cross play and cross progression on mobile, I am so nervous.
Man, I thought we were past second screen experiences.
Oh, I just like.
Yeah, that doesn't. It's gonna be shit. Well, why are we making defense for it?
The thing that I hate the most is that every developer, publisher, what have you, looks at the mobile game market or the mobile game industry in general and goes, "Yeah, it's a steaming pile of garbage." But what if we made our game also in that steaming pile of garbage? So I just wish we'd stop trying.
Patrick,
To me, it's a lost market.
Patrick, I found a title in this article. We're not going to call it Skates by year. They're telling us to call it Skate period. Because
Skate period.
Because they put a little full stop at the end of the word skate, and so
I'm pretty sure that was the same as the first one. Maybe not.
No, I think the first one was just skates.
Not skate period.
Yeah.
Not skate legends : Arceus.
Skating.
Skating. That's the sequel, Steve. Come on, keep up.
Oh god, you're right. There was a little period at the end of the original Skates, but it wasn't in the oh no, it was in the franchise name. Okay, never mind. But EA is saying to call this one Skate period.
Yeah, so I played a lot of Skate 1, and then I played even more. Like, I played a shit ton of Skate 3. Skate 3 was definitely top 5 favorite games on PS3. I loved that game. And so this is why I'm super bittersweet about this, because on one hand, I really want this game to be successful, just because if they do it right, I will be so into this game. But the problem is, it's EA, it's live service targeting, and they want to do it right by mobile as well. That is such a combination of red flags.
I'm just...
So what do you reckon? Are you still pre-ordering it, Pat? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
You don't need to pre-order it. It's going to be free to play.
Yeah, and all of the DLC will only cost $20,000.
God, I'm so sick of the franchises going this route. Like, loved franchises going this route.
Remember, if you download it, you're part of the problem. They see it as a win.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of different things at play here, right? One, I guess we've given up on the idea that a game that comes out in a particular order from a franchise should be titled as such. Fuck you.
What do you mean God of War can't be called God of War?
Here we go. Halo Infinite, that's what we're saying, fellas. Halo 2021.
Have you noticed that any game with the subtitle Infinite is a bad game?
I don't know, Nintendo's Infinite was pretty sick.
Nintendo's forever. When's Nintendo's becoming a live service game? Let's ask the real question.
Yeah, true, honestly.
Nintendo's Go. Give the people what they want. Catching bugs on their phone.
Yeah, no. Steve, what if I told you could play that game right now? Just go outside. All you have to do, pull out your phone. If you find a dog, it's yours, bro. Just take it. You don't even need Pokeballs, bro. Just take the dog.
But then what do I do when I put my phone down?
Well, you have to feed the dog, and the dog will give you rare candies, right? And then you can level up the dog and use it to battle other... Okay, I don't like this analogy.
I feel like this is somehow going back to that one car video we were watching, and it was just like every time we saw something nice happen, we're like, good ending, they took that home.
And that was an Australia dash cams video.
Yes. That one.
I'll just get like a golden retriever, so they're always bringing me gold.
So in other words, it's much like Zigzagoon with the pickup ability.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, anyway, back to Skate. I don't know. I'm I'm ready to love again, but I've been scorned so many times.
Yeah, it's understandable.
And the problem is seeing all of I looked through a bunch of what they've released for this game so far. Parts of it do look interesting, but part of it also just makes me really miss Skate 3 and just a port of Skate 3 and how much more enjoyable I know that would be compared to reinventing the wheel, which it seems like every franchise is trying to do because IP is hard. Look at Babylon's Fall. Tangential.
It'll be skatefall.
Tangential point.
When you fall
though,
off your skateboard, you graze your knees. That's probably the analogy that I'll use or something.
True. You do that. Skate 3 was also the best in that Skate 1 was designed to be like a skating simulator. Skate 2 was trying to do like the whole punky, edgy, running from security type thing. People say that Skate 2 had the best story of the franchise, and it's annoying because I never played Skate 2 because I went from 1 to 3. But Skate 3, it was the kind of epitome of just skating with people. Like you could just drop in objects, and it was so meta that they actually referenced the ability for characters in the game to do that. It was I loved it. It was almost kind of Saints Row level self-aware in parts, but unrelated to this though. But I think it's Ollie Ollie. It's a very stylized skateboarding game, but it came out either earlier this year or partway through last year. It's on my list to play. I haven't picked it up yet, but seeing something like Skate almost makes me want to move to something like Ollie Ollie more as a more stylized. It's not trying to do what's already come before. I've heard that it's very well reviewed. Ollie Ollie, I mean. And
yeah, I've heard it's very good.
And it has
It was
a price
also on
tag
the Vita.
up front. Ollie Ollie.
No, that's Ollie Ollie. Ollie Ollie World is like its sequel.
Okay. Ollie Ollie World. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. I probably should have figured this out before we talked about Skate. But the thing is,
but we were too busy watching Skate gameplay to get hyped over Skate.
True, but the problem I see with Skate is that Skate's going to do the same. It's going to run the same fucking tired business model of we'll make it free to play. We'll make it so that if you want to enjoy the game, you have to drop $500. It's gonna last until for as long as the community's in there. We're gonna put a bunch of features in there. There's gonna be microtransactions which are confirmed. They say that they're not gonna be pay to win or that there's gonna be anything behind paywalls. It's just gonna be cosmetic stuff. But it's okay, sure, we'll see. But then I look at something like Ollie Ollie World. 50 to 100, I don't know how much it costs, but like, you know, a game that you pay up front, very well reviewed, it's out, it's very stylized, it differentiates itself. I know which of those two I would rather go to, and it's Ollie Ollie World, but I'm finished talking about this. I don't really have much more to say.
I don't even know how you do
I'm
a live service game for Skate, honestly. Like, what is there to live service about the game?
Oh, that reminds me, the seasonal drop idea, fucking hate. Because that means that they are going to put in things like daily login rewards and things to make you come back to play it regularly. If a game is fun, I will want to play it regularly. I don't want to feel forced to play it regularly.
Yeah, you don't want a game to be homework where you go in every day for it.
Exactly. Specifically to make sure that you don't miss out on something in case that something is worth doing. So, yeah, There's so many red flags. There are so many red flags. Anyway, I'm done. Anyone else want to say anything about Skate? Otherwise, we move on.
We can move on.
I never played a Skate game.
It's really good. If you have a PlayStation 3 kicking around, Skate 3, fantastic.
I do not.
I wonder if they're
all
on
the Skate games are
back-compat.
fantastic. I have no idea, but
They would be for the Xbox.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The Xbox back-compat.
Yeah. I'm not going to play them. I'll be honest with you, big fella.
I didn't realize I thought Skate 1 at least was a PlayStation exclusive. I might have been wrong with that. I don't know. It's been years. It's been so many years. But in terms of things that I really want to play again, Pacific Rim, is the top of that list from PlayStation 3, but Skate 3 is maybe slot 2 or 3 on that list.
So Skate 2 was added to Xbox backwards compatibility last year, and at the same time, EA announced it was turning off the service for the game.
Oh my god, that's the most EA combo headline I've ever heard. Yeah. Anyway, if you have access to Skate, do it. Like, play it. It's amazing. Moving on though, we have the next article is that we have confirmation that Sony has finished its acquisition of Bungie. The thing which I don't think anyone was surprised by this. I don't think there would have been anything stopping this. Unlike, I think if anything was going to be stopped, it would have been the Blizzard Microsoft merger. But,
yeah, that's the big one that's in contention at the moment.
Yeah, but I think Sony picking up Bungie, I think was fairly, like, I don't think anyone expected there to be any issues with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's Bungie done lately except just release Destiny?
Yeah.
Like it's,
But
good on him.
Yeah,
I don't have anything
to add to this. Yeah.
after absorbing Bungie, Sony's already looking at their next target, which is Repeat.gg, which is an esports website.
I've never heard of this, but at the same time, I don't really watch esports or interact with esports.
Yeah, it seems like Repeat it does a lot of like community stuff, like tournament organization and leaderboards and stuff. And PlayStation's trying to get into like the esports stuff, so they need a platform to do that. So what better way than to acquire someone that's already done all the hard work?
Good point.
I guess this could also play into their new idea. Well, not new idea, but the new thing coming to PlayStation, which is their rewards program. This would help.
Oh yeah, the loyalty thing.
Yeah, this because Repeat does tracking player performance. So if they integrated that into PSN, that could be a way to like dish out.
That'd be pretty
points.
Cool. Yeah. Interesting. Maybe they just play one of
the future
more slice of the pie to broadcastings or something. I don't really know. Anyway, doesn't. Yeah, I sleep.
So anyway, moving from one digital extreme to another.
Heyo!
Thank you.
That was very good.
It came to me, and I was like, "This is the one. This is the." Anyway, so the article. Digital Extreme, studio behind Warframe. Actually, have you guys played Warframe?
I haven't. It's something I've been very interested in for a long time, but I just never got around to it. It seems like it's once you start digging into it, there's so much to dig into. You're just stuck forever.
I'm the same. I've heard very good things, but it's
I would consider it a game
very busy
that has a massive barrier to entry because
that too, yeah.
There's very little in the way of formalized tutorials. Like I think the tutorial system's better now. I haven't played it in probably 2 years. I think I last played not Plains of Eidolon, but it was Warframe typically is a linear or branching linear gameplay level type game, and there are a few things with like some open areas or like capture the flag or not capture the flag, like zone defense where you're running around a more open area. But they on a large update a couple of years ago introduced Plains of Eidolon, which was the first open world area, and so I played a ton of Plains of Eidolon, and I played one patch past that, which was a large open area on Venus. And I forget what the name of that patch was, and I haven't played it since. But I've always had like a come back to it and play for a bit type relationship with Warframe. 2 years, I think, might actually be one of the longest periods that I haven't played it, which is weird to say. But but it's got a huge barrier to entry. But the barrier to entry is completely fixed if you play with anyone who has played more than about 5 hours. So the huge barrier to entry is that if you try and figure this out for yourself, you will just be like you need an encyclopedia of all the different mechanics and how things work and everything else. But having someone just explain, okay, you're gonna get thrown like into just a maelstrom of fucking numbers and mechanics and things. This is what you actually need to focus on for the first couple hours, or this is what the core of the gameplay loop is. Warframe is really fun. It's really fun, especially with friends, because I'm always a big fan. It's the similar hook to me as Borderlands of everyone having complementary classes and working together to beat like a particular objective. And Warframe is way too good at making classes feel distinct enough that you really want to kind of max out different classes and playstyles and weapons and other bits and pieces. And doing the super late game, like the kind of post game stuff was fun for that reason, because I had people to play with, but none of the group that I played with have been back to Warframe since. But I know that if there was ever a moment where a bunch of us were like, yeah, let's give Warframe another crack, I'm in. I'm straight back in.
Cool. So how long do the games usually take though? Are they like 20 to 50 minutes? Like what are we talking about here?
It depends on what you're up to. So the whole thing,
okay.
Warframe is a constant grind. The whole thing is it's a grind with a lot of really fun fluff over top, but the core of it is just grind. And the whole thing is, for me at least, it's playing, finding something that you want to do, and just working to that objective. And there is some stuff that can take a while. Like, I think some of the Plains of Eidolon stuff took kind of 40, 45 type minutes. But there's other stuff that is just super quick. And particularly once you start understanding why you're playing through a particular level or what you're trying to get out of a particular level, then it doesn't matter about the objective. It's just grab the stuff that you're after and then and then dip. So it wildly varies. But like zone defense / time-based ones will take longer than kill a certain number of enemies or get to a particular point or infiltrate. I don't remember the name of it. It's like infiltrate safes or like steal secrets from particular safes and stuff. But the play styles of the different frames is super cool. And the story, it's a weird thing to say about a live service game because that's what Warframe is, right? But the story is, I really like the story. And they give story update. Well, they did story updates semi-frequently back when I played. And I was super into the story and the universe that they built. So I realized we haven't talked at all about what the article's actually about.
Yeah.
And that a large chunk...
Yeah, we've kind of drifted off topic a little bit.
I think it's worthwhile, though, because I think those... Like, I think very highly of the business model of Warframe, how they approach their community, all those bits and pieces. And so when the article is talking about a lot of Warframe resources moving to a new IP announced called Soulframe, which is a fantasy MMORPG, I am excited. I'm excited off the bat because I know how much care and faith and goodwill that they have built up in the community. Like they have their own convention every year. They have TennoCon, and that's just for a live service game like Warframe. Like Digital Extremes, I don't know how big it is now, but for a while is not a big studio. It's it run out of Canada. I think it's actually run out of where my grandparents used to live, which is not it's not.
Do your grandparents run this studio?
I hope so. Yeah, my uncle works at Digital Extremes. You want me to get you some platinum?
Yeah, please. I heard it's expensive.
I don't know what any of that. I don't know what any of that those words mean, but yeah, sure, why
not? But yeah, so they've announced that they want to start working on Soulframe. And so to do that, they've shifted a bunch of resources into Soulframe, and they've also promoted a lot of voices within the Warframe team to now kind of lead the creative direction of Warframe. So I'm excited for both. This almost makes me want to at least update Warframe, even if I don't jump back in to play it. But if you guys are wanting to give it a go, I would happily show you the ropes for a weekend or a couple days, because it's the sort of game that really is. I can't think of much like it in terms of what I've played and how crisp the gameplay loop is in a nutshell.
I probably won't get into it, but thank you for the offer.
What, you don't have a couple 100 hours to spare? What's wrong with you?
Oh no, I do. I just don't want to be playing War. Don't you think it's weird that it's called Warframe and the new one's called Soulframe? Do you think it's like a sequel? How does it work like that?
So that's gonna sound fine on Steven's audio, but we got none of that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you're in the same boat, Saif, because I was not sure who that was, whose side that was on.
Yeah, no, Steve just cut out every syllable.
No, that's actually how I talk. No, what I was saying was, don't you find
You're
it
doing
weird
good,
how it's
buddy.
called? Oh, I'm still doing it. Oh, shit.
No, I hear you properly this time.
Man, I love technology. Well, look, it doesn't matter. Just move on. Move to the next one. It was a dumb fucking joke.
we are burying that joke.
Actually, it says that you've played previously, Seth.
Warframe?
Yeah.
Don't think I have.
You've played for 1 minute.
Oh, get fucked. Refund the game, man.
Hey, I'm just the messenger, bro. Steam knows what's up, all right?
Steam's wigging out. I've never launched that game. I've probably added it to my library, but I've never downloaded it because I recall seeing it was a pretty big download. No, it's only 31 gigs at the moment, so it's not that bad. Yeah, it does say I've only played for 1 minute. What the fuck? March 6, 2016.
Oh, that's crazy.
What were you doing in 2016, big fella?
Playing
Fucking
Warframe for a
nothing.
minute.
Yeah,
I was a neat.
Warframe, it looks like. Oh, man. Oh, God. I wish I could go back to neat days. Oh.
I don't. They were the
Hang me.
worst.
Well, I don't know. Maybe when you're on that, when you've been a wages in like 12 years, like this grinds on you. Anyway, sorry, Pat, you were saying?
411 hours, according to Steam.
That's not too bad.
Plus a few hours more on Switch because they brought it to Switch a few years ago.
What's the Switch version like?
And it runs surprisingly. I actually quite enjoyed playing it on Switch. It was surprisingly well optimized.
That's good.
The more you know. Anyway, yeah. What I want to say about Soulframe, I'm super excited.
I'm probably
digital streams is great.
I'm probably more interested in Soulframe than I am Warframe, just on a visual level, because I'm more interested in fantasy settings than I am sci-fi ones.
So you're saying you might play it for more than 1 minute?
Yeah, I might launch it for 2.
Double the time. Double the time. Really? Wow. So that's a
I liked
it
it that much more.
I just find it so funny that you could even intentionally launch a game for a minute.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why would I launch a game for a minute?
A minute would take you to the login screen. You must have got to the login screen and been like, nah, I'm out, dog.
No, I swear I've
Too
never
long.
opened this game. I don't know why it says I've played it for a minute.
It was a Russian hacker or something, or
Oh,
your NSA hacker. Oh, well, moving on.
You meant to say hacker, bro? Yeah. Anyway, next thing on the list to talk about. Sad news. Wii U and 3DS Nintendo eShops finally coming to an end. I actually thought this was happening this year. That's why I hurried the fuck up and finally shifted all my Pokemon off of Alpha Sapphire. And I will shamelessly admit I almost cried.
they're not. They weren't shutting down this year. They were. I think it's next month. You can't add money onto the wallets anymore.
Yeah, there's
Unless
some
it's
credit
through-
card support.
Yeah,
use gift
I
cards.
thought all of that was taking place. I thought all of that was taking place early this year. So over the course of like a couple days, I think I read something somewhere that talked about it ending, and maybe the date was wrong, but I panicked and thought, oh no, this is ending soon. And so I bought or renewed my Pokemon Home, whatever the
Pokebank.
3DS one is. Pokebank, yeah. I renewed my Pokebank subscription for the crazy high price of like $15 a year or whatever the hell it was, which actually fairly reasonable given other subscription costs. Anyway, did that, shipped all my stuff off of Alpha Sapphire, and then got really sad because that's the end of an era. Like I've played Sun and Moon and I've played Sword and Shield, and I didn't shift everything off of off of Alpha Sapphire because that was my living dex, and Alpha Sapphire is my favorite Pokemon game just ever. So end of an era, and almost had a little tear in my eye when I did that, but shifted everything off. I kind of want to try like a Nuzlocke or a Soul Link or something. I want to go back, but I need to have a reason to. But yeah, sad news to hear that it's ending, but at the same time, expected.
What's a Soul Link? What the fuck's that? I've never heard of that.
Soul Link, it's a 2-player Nuzlocke.
Oh,
okay. That'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
So the whole thing is that it's the Soul Link is well, I'm sure people have different rules, but the rule set that I'm familiar with is that because you have different encounters, like let's say you go to Route 102, right? I might encounter something different from Saif, but that encounter, whatever that encounter is linked. So if it dies, if we're doing a Soul Link, let's say Saif and I are doing Soul Link, if the encounter that I got in Route 102 I catch and then use or whatever, and then dies, that Saif has to then kill, release, whatever rules you're playing, the encounter that he got on Route 102, and so that's the Soul
that's
aspect of it.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, and so there's a good one of Alpharad and Jaden, I think, going through one of the Gen 2 games as a Soul Link, and that side. I don't know if it affects catching. I don't know if both need to catch it for it to count, but in terms of when a Pokemon faints, that's the Soul Link kicking in. But yeah, I've been wanting a reason to start Alpha Sapphire or Omega Ruby because I have both.
I'd imagine
I love
you'd
the Gen 3 remakes.
prioritize things that are linked over things that aren't.
I assume so. But yeah, I am looking for a reason to do that at some point because I'm so busy with everything else. But I want a reason to play the Gen 3 remix again because I just love them so much. So yeah, something like that might be on the cards at some point later on. Whether that's, with one of you, then cool. But don't know how we ended up talking about Pokemon instead of the eShop closing, but here we are, just off topic wildly again, as we do.
Have we ever been off topic in our entire lives?
Never.
So Final Fantasy 14, right?
Oh, what
Yeah.
a game!
Oh, what a game.
That is one of
Remember
the
what I
games
said
of all
about
time.
Warframe being like, once you start digging in, you'll never reach the bottom.
Sorry,
And Final Fantasy
Seth,
14 also
I'm
has
literally
that
asleep
problem.
right now. You've put me to sleep, man. Can you knock it off?
I am still not done with content in that game.
Here we go. If someone visits Nintendo eShop and wants to download something on the Wii U or the 3DS family of systems after March 27, 2023, will they be able to? On both platforms, they can re-download content they own or download existing software updates. However, they will not be able to purchase any content, and on the 3DS, this includes things like Street Pass, Me Plaza, Pokemon Bank, Nintendo Badge Arcade. So
Yeah,
like,
free
this is
games and
actually-
demos will not be available anymore.
Yeah, so it's actually cutting the
Cutting the store.
like Pokebank or at every point in Pokemon's history until the Switch, you could always move things up. Now we have a hard deadline to move everything that isn't Gen
So
7, Gen 8. That
the
isn't Gen
thing
8.
with Pokebank at the moment is that if you don't have it downloaded, then yeah, you're stuck. But if you do have it downloaded, that's still going to be supported for a little bit, so you can move things from Pokemon Home. And they've even gone on. I think they've gone on record to say that if you don't have a subscription, it's fine. You'll still be able to move things once the Nintendo Shop services are going down, because you can't put money onto those at the Pokemon Bank store anymore. So they're just going to go throw their hands up and go, okay, do it for free, but you have to pay the Pokemon Home sub.
But I got my shiny Gallade with all of its badges and maxed
Ribbons.
out like medals and ribbons. Thank you. Yeah. With all of its ribbons and all of that shifted.
Oh man,
into
I love
Pokemon.
that. I love that story
Pokemon
about
Home
the
now.
Slowpoke that went through every generation to get every ribbon.
Yeah, that's so cool. I bred the Gallade in Gen 6, so couldn't backport it that far. But yeah, no, I know a few people that have sort of grown up with a particular Pokemon from usually about Gen 3 onwards that they've just kept and continue to use. It's got shit stats. It's not competitively viable, honestly, but sentimental value. So that's cool. Any final thoughts from either of you two?
I'm not fussed. Like it seems like every fucking second Wii U game's coming to the Switch, which is pretty funny. But yeah,
Where's Star Fox? Where's Xenoblade X?
You never
All
ever.
I need is an adapter for 3DS games to go into the Switch. Perfect.
That'd be sick, actually.
Yeah.
Like the cartridges are similar sizes.
They are not.
It's a cartridge as opposed to a disc, though. Like it's similar.
It's
3DS is much fatter than a Switch cartridge.
It's the
Plus-
same stance I take on like when they were going to take down the PS3 and Vita stores. In that, I just kind of wish there was a way to keep the games that are only on like digital only games on those platforms to still be alive and purchasable somehow.
Yep. Plus, controversial statement, but I think licking 3DS cartridges tastes way better than licking Switch cartridges.
Yum, yum, yum. I eat mine with a knife and a fork.
Why would you do that?
Why not?
You guys are
don't you?
animals.
Num, num, num.
Oh, we went through this. That's right. You don't lick your bloody Switch cartridges, you weirdo.
I still haven't.
Still a weirdo, man.
I love the idea that the 10,000 sub goal will be you licking a Switch cartridge.
Maybe if we hit a certain Patreon goal or get a certain sponsorship from a certain donut company.
Or release a certain spoiler cast.
That's what Josh is doing.
The fast travel lounge Krispy Kreme donut is just going to taste like a Switch cartridge.
Oh my god.
That is the most fucking worst idea you've ever heard, Seth. A yellow card, big fella. Yellow fucking card.
This is why you stick to editing and I come up with the ideas,
I
alright?
thought
Yeah,
Steve was the ideas guy.
I'm the ideas man. I've got a lot of things
I
floating
give
around.
the ideas man the ideas.
You're just the
I thought
host.
that was how-
You direct
Was
my
that not how
ideas.
this worked?
You'll be fine. Man, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, Seth. What the fuck, man?
I had to do it just to upset you guys.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Seth just made a Josh take.
Oh, 100%. But it was also bait.
Yeah, funny. You say that, but I bet it wasn't. Anyway, move on.
Yep. Speaking of bait, No More Heroes 3 coming out in coming out in the second week of October for North America and Europe.
Good. I'm very
Yeah.
much looking forward to this.
Me too. I need to replay the No More Hero games to get ready for it.
I played number one. I've got number two sitting on my Switch, and then
There's
I'll
already no more heroes. How many less heroes can there be?
3. It says it in the title, man.
Yeah, there's 3.
You know what, Steve? I take that back. You are the ideas.
Well, it's important to.
This is also the same month that Bayonetta 3 is coming out, but I'm very glad that they're a few weeks away so I can play through No More Heroes 3 and then play Bayonetta 3.
Well, it's important to note as well that No More Heroes 3.
Nothing but 3s for the 3 out of 10 itself.
No More Heroes 3 came out last year as well. This is just the console and the PC port.
The real release.
Real release. So you can play it.
You're just upset that
The Switch
you're
owners
just
played the
upset.
beta.
That's what I'm saying. You're just upset that people that play it after second week of October aren't playing it on Switch.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anyone
I
still
have
playing
no-
the Switch version after the console and PC release is playing it wrong. You didn't play the game.
You didn't fucking play, even though I played it first. But yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to it. 27th of October, was it? Sick. Let's go. Let's go.
11th October and 14th October for us.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we get it a fucking bit later. Dogs. Why are they still doing this?
Yeah, we
It's-
get it like 3 days
It's
later.
literally. Well. Ree!
And even then, these are both 1 week after the Japanese release. What a weird spread. You don't get spreads like this much anymore.
What is it, like a bread? Like a bread? Move on. I've run out of ideas. Anyway,
He's out.
speaking
Pull him out. Pull him out.
speaking of treasure. I don't.
Okay.
That was my segue.
You want to
I'll say the title
or
then,
was that
Because
that
well, speaking of treasure, Dragon Quest Treasures gets a bit of a lot actually of new info. Any of you fellas excited for this?
that was
I
a
am.
shit segue, Steve.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him, Steve. Steve, I enjoyed your segue.
Thank you.
You tried very hard. I will give you a gold
Thank
star.
you. Thanks, Dad. That's all I've ever wanted. But anyway, maybe the gold star is the treasure from Dragon Quest Treasures. What do we feel, fellas?
Yeah,
We pre-ordering this, we buy it on release.
they go into a lot of detail detailing the story of the game, the characters, what the gameplay loop is supposed to be. So just a quick summary on the story and the gameplay loop. The story is that Eric and his sister Mia live on a Viking ship. They want to go on a big adventure to explore the world and find grand treasures. And one night they encounter some otherworldly creatures that take them onto a legendary adventure. So that's just like kind of a simple setup for the story. The gameplay loop though, where is that? You'll go to the world of Draconia, which is made up of numerous islands, and you're just on the hunt for treasures with unique monster abilities. Like every monster that you catch and tame will have different ways to explore the islands and help you fight other monsters and catch other monsters.
Are you questing for a particular dragon, or
no, you're questing for his treasure?
No, the dragon is the friends you made along the way.
Dragging these friends along the way, am I right?
Got him.
Got him.
Okay then, so it looks like we're done with that. That's it. All the best Dragon Quest treasures. I hardly knew ye.
I'm very excited for this game. Actually, I enjoyed Dragon Quest XI a fair amount, and Eric was one of my favorite characters in that. So just getting more adventures for him and his sister, it should be a pretty good time.
Cool.
That's cool. I hope it lives up to the hype. Next up on the list, we have Squeenix and.
So we're just ignoring that other thing at this point, aren't
yes,
we?
I don't care for it. No one cares.
I care.
Well, then you have to say it then. Find a good.
I care a lot.
Find a good segue.
Damn. I'm taking in Patrick for this. Pat, I'm like in the middle of the ring and I'm like crawling towards the corner.
Yeah,
please
take me in. Take me in. Take my hand. Take my hand.
There's a tag.
Okay, cool. I couldn't tell because of how weak you are. So speaking of striking out of segues, Mario Strikers getting its first free update. What, tomorrow? Holy shit! No, today. Today for me.
I think it'll probably be going by
baby.
US date. So yeah, probably tomorrow.
Yeah, probably right.
Yeah.
But, we always knew this was coming. They said that they were going to do a few title updates to add more content, and this is the first of it. We're getting Daisy, Shy Guy, some Night Gear, and the Desert Ruin Stadium. So,
Daisy should have been in at launch.
Yeah.
She is such a stable character for these games. Why? And they just knew they would get a pop off when they do add her into the game, and they did. People popped off for Daisy.
This is a weird take from me, just because I watch a fair bit of YouTube. I try to keep on top of a few mostly sort of gaming focused content creators. I haven't seen anyone make a Mario Strikers video after the first week.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone talk about it since like the first day.
It seems like it has fizzled like crazy, just out of existence. So what I'm picking is that a lot of those same creators will create another video now that Daisy and Shy Guy and stuff are out, and then it will fizzle again.
Yep. But the last time we talked about Mario Strikers, I believe I said I would buy the game once Daisy was added. So now I got to do that.
And now you can buy it and not play it, like Josh and I.
And literally everyone else that bought Mario Strikers.
I'm not surprised it did seem like a game that was like, okay, that was fun. See you later.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, I genuinely enjoyed it for a couple hours. Like, it was fun.
But there's no content in there.
Would I pay $80 for a couple hours of content? Not in hindsight.
Yeah, I was going to say you did.
Yeah, shut up, Steve.
It's the same problem that every recent Mario sports game has had. It's like, we added an online mode. Is there anything else to do? No, but you can play online.
That's the thing, is that it's annoying for me because I I don't know how hard it is to implement some of this stuff, right? Like I have no idea how Nintendo works, what sort of things they're working towards, whatever. I see something like Mario Strikers, and I think it has so much potential for dumb offline fun in the same way that even Mario Kart, right? Even a game where you just drive around in circles with items has balloon battle or some other game mode. I was just expecting that Mario Strikers would have something that would change up the formula of how the game is played. But every game is 4-on-4?
Yeah, 4-on-4.
Yeah. Every game is 4-on-4 with items in similar arenas. There's no like you could have done so much. Like environments, change the number of people on each team, like make the stadium choices actually mean something, because I just expected them to, and nothing fucking.
Oh, speaking of the stadium choices, I do think it's neat that they're doing this desert stadium for Daisy and Shy Guy. Like, just
that's fine, but like it's
I know what you mean. I just want to quickly point that out. Like, since
sure.
Daisy's the desert princess, it's neat that they're doing that.
But it's barely even a desert.
It's
like,
just a skin.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's barely even cosmetic. Like, it changes so little. Like,
yeah.
Like, honestly, the biggest thing it changes is how hard it is to see the people running around on it, which is not a great place to be when the game makes a point of saying, "Hey, which of these stadiums do you want to play in?" So, I wish there was some way to shift up the formula, but it's so
stagnant.
It feels like a demo. It feels like I paid $80 for a demo, and the demo was fun. But I want the full game.
Yeah, and I feel like there's been the general feeling for the Mario sports games since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out. Like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was such a good deal, and then ever since, like, Mario Tennis is a demo until, like, a year after it came out, and then Mario Golf is also a demo until a year after it came out.
Yeah.
I'm still not getting this game.
I never actually finished a golf game. Like, I got, like, 3/4 of the way through that story, and then I just dropped it.
And then you just realized, why am I playing golf?
I like golf games.
Do you like real life golf?
Oh, okay. All right.
I've never played.
Well, it's just like Mario. Like mushrooms and all, it's exactly the same.
I like Mario because I can jump in it. Never jumped in real life.
What if I said you could jump a golf cart over something?
You've got me intrigued.
And we've come full circle. Anyway, speaking of full circles.
Good.
Going back to the other article that I cut us off on.
Good segue, but
unironically, that's where the segue was going. ScreenX doing ScreenX things decides, hey, you know what people really love? Us to openly invest millions of dollars in Bitcoin.
God, this is so stupid.
They're at the dip. They're fine.
It'll only make them money from now.
It can't get lower, can it?
I don't even really have a lot to contribute to this article.
I'm just disappointed.
Dropped a bunch of money on a Bitcoin gaming startup. That is basically all the information that I care about that's a part of this article, and that's all the information that I think everyone...
You wait, fellas. When they start making a shit ton of money, we live in the dream. Well, Square Enix will be living the dream, and we can finally get...
when they use their Bitcoin money to fund Babylon's
We'll finally be getting the real Final Fantasy 15.
Babylon's Rise.
Babylon's 15.
Babylon's 15.
I don't know. I'm just saying words now.
I'm gonna bounce off this for a second and also say that recently Square Enix showed off some new play arts figures that they're going to be releasing, and they've also got NFTs tied to those. Like, instead of giving you like a certificate of authenticity, you get a code to input an NFT that will be your digital certificate. And if you pay extra money, you get an NFT of the figure as well.
I'm going to break into someone's house, steal their figurine or whatever they've got, and then right-click save, and then put their NFT on a USB stick, and then I've got them. I've robbed them twice. Tell me shit.
the funniest part to me is that there's also a disclaimer saying that if the website that is hosting the NFTs goes down, then you're not owed anything. It's just gone forever. So you could pay an extra $50 for that NFT figure, and it could be gone, and it's just $50 to pay for nothing.
As funny as that side of it is, the thing that I'm struggling with, right? I assume they want to sell more than one figurine. Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's the point, right? So the whole point of an NFT is that it's your ownership of this thing. So they can't just all have the same identical NFT. So what the hell are they actually buying? Because if they're all getting the same figure, you know what I mean? If they're all getting the same figure, they can't all have the same NFT of the figure, because that defeats the entire point of the NFT.
It's just the same. It's just the same model printed multiple times into the blockchain.
It's so fucking stupid.
Dumb. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but look,
I assume there's a bunch of people with hexagon Twitter profiles that'll be like, "Oh my god, fucking finally!"
It's not for me, and it should be for no one.
It's definitely a Ponzi scheme, especially with the current trends of what's going on with like OpenSea's laying off all of its fucking staff members. Bored apes are worth fucking nothing anymore.
Oh, are they?
I know. I know. Hey, let me bring up the world's smallest violin. It's the size of how much it cost.
Let me pull up the NFT of the world's smallest violin.
Oh well, it is like that.
It's worth even less than the violin.
Violins are worth quite a bit.
Yeah,
that's a bad analogy.
All right then.
Speaking of bad analogies. No, even I can't make that one work. Finally,
on good news to end up with.
Sure.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Good news.
Hey,
Xbox,
who among us has an Xbox?
But...
Me. X-Bros, we're winning.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was a trick question.
You know what? I shouldn't have put this last on the docket. We can't have Steven having a win. Let me dig through Twitter for some bad news.
We're not getting news from Twitter. Like, it's not going to be some literal Who screen cap.
Bad news, everyone. Bitcoin went up.
So essentially, Xbox consoles are getting Discord voice chat. It's being rolled out to insiders now, and they say...
Which I'm assuming
is why... Are you an Xbox insider?
Yeah, well, is that why you're underwater right now?
I actually, I tried to download it today, and the Discord store wasn't there. So, sorry, the Discord app wasn't downloadable, so they probably took it away.
The Discord machine was broken, so I just got my Big Mac and I had
it went the way of the Sunday machine. Yeah, so this is good. To be honest, I absolutely hate when I'm playing Xbox with friends and they want to play on Discord, so I have to either get out my laptop or get out my phone, have that next to me, then play the Xbox, and then have the fucking laptop or phone while I'm talking with friends on Discord. I fucking hate it. So we're winning, boys. You'll be hearing a lot more of me in the Discord chat.
Cool.
Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Generally, I think this is a really cool thing.
PlayStation already has this, right?
No, they don't.
Neither does Nintendo.
But well, everyone knows Nintendo does it. You might as well use Discord with Nintendo because it's better than the bloody the online Switch app bullshit thing that you use your phone for.
I think it was 2 years ago that Xbox and Discord partnered up to do some integrations. Maybe it was 3 years ago,
and it only took 2 years.
Yeah, so I think that was when you would.
But basically, what that did was just link your Xbox Live account to Discord so that people could see what you were playing on Xbox. And then
the world's largest software development company. And then it's like, oh, you know what? 2 years. Hey, let's just hook fucking Discord voice chat in.
Yeah, and then PlayStation basically did the same thing as that last year, but Sony also invested stock into Discord. So I expect whatever's this voice chat thing will come to PlayStation a lot quicker than the last integration time gap was. But yeah, it just seems like whatever was coming to consoles is being put onto Xbox first at the moment, and then will come to PlayStation later on. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an article saying, hey, PlayStation also gets Discord voice chat in like 6 months or a year.
But you know what? I would be surprised. Switch gets Discord voice
never
integration.
ever. It literally.
Nintendo will get that in like 10 years when they catch up to Discord.
No, I reckon you've probably got more of a chance of a first-party Nintendo game going on sale.
No. Nintendo will catch up in 5 years when Discord buys out Nintendo.
Ooh, maybe Nintendo buys out Discord. That'd be funny.
Nintendo's too rich to be bought out. Like,
it would be funny though.
While Reggie was still in the company, I think it was like they could have bad years for 50 years in a row and still be financially safe.
And with the Switch, they're probably fucking making money hand over fist.
Especially with the sequel to the Switch, the Switch, coming soon to a store.
Better than the Snitch. I never made it out. And we've come full circle. Mad.
Indeed. So speaking of full circle, yeah, that takes us to the end of the news for this week. Thank you to everyone for the discussion. Always fun, always a good time. Audience question for this week. We have one from Brian. Right,
Brian Griffin
asking,
No, I hope it's not Brian Griffin.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, come on. We can't associate everyone named Brian with Brian Griffin.
I will, and I do.
Be better, Steve.
I used to have a teacher called Miss O'Brien, but I used to... no, it was just Miss O'Brien. Really? I can't remember her first name. But I would also always spell Brian wrong, so it was always Miss O'Brien, and she'd always yell at me for it. I'm like, sorry, miss, I'll get it right next time, and I never did. I think her first name was Michelle. Sorry, Miss O'Brien. Hope you're listening. I made it.
Wait. Michelle O'Brien. Michelle Obama.
Ooh.
That's so close, man. That's freaky. That's freaky.
Ooh.
A quick move on before we get cursed.
No. Wait. Did she do school lunches by any chance?
I don't know. I can't remember. So long ago. No, they're banging down the door. No. Michelle, no.
I'm not editing any sound effects in for that.
I'll do my own sound effects.
Man, I hate the idea that Steve's going to randomly get disconnected from his Xbox and we're no longer going to be able to hear him in Discord.
The last thing you...
Oh no, what
the
a
last
loss.
thing you hear. Oh, hey, Michelle. I haven't seen you since high school or primary school.
So what does Brian tell us? Well, ask us, Patrick.
Brian asks, what could Pokemon introduce that would make you no longer want to play it? I'm assuming referencing Gen 9, because Gen 9 is slowly approaching. I don't actually think we've had any news recently. I know that we
had that trailer a few weeks back.
That was like months ago, man.
Maybe like a month
2 months ago.
That was about a month ago, and we noted in the last couple of weeks that I think that was longer than a month actually, but we noted in the last couple of weeks that we hadn't had any news since. So I'm assuming
there's a bunch of leaks circulating around, so you can find those if you're interested.
Yeah, some of those
you shut your whole mouth.
Fake,
yeah, how many of those are real? How many of those are fake? I'll leave.
Hey, all of them with Sprigatito on 4 legs are real. That's all I'll say.
That one of Sprigatito on 2 legs, that can go into the
one
trash.
Of them's got like weird big titties or something, even though it's like a Pokemon. Oh god.
Hi Salazzle.
Yeah, don't believe me? Google Pokemon inflation. Anyway, what is Brian?
A warning to everyone listening: don't do that.
Bringing in more.
I mean, I'd ordinarily say be careful of everything Steve says. Be especially careful of that.
So to answer Brian's question, $255 worth of cosmetic DLC.
Oh my god. A battle pass for Pokemon.
Yuck, I would hate that.
God, daily logins for Pokemon.
Well, they do that with like Pokemon Go and Pokemon Masters. They've got daily logins for those.
Yeah, and I don't play those.
Yeah, good point. I'm going free to play or like...
Can you imagine a daily login to Pokemon Sleep?
God, when is that fucking coming out? It's in 4 years. Oh.
I think it's just cancelled at this point.
Rats.
Found some
Beat me
old
to
tweets.
it.
Hey, got him. Go back to your Xbox, bro. Try harder.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
I don't know. Probably going like a
Yeah,
free to play model. Or there's very few things that Pokemon could do to get me to stop playing it forever. Like I'm literally like, I'll never buy a game on release except for Pokemon.
In the ecosystem.
It's not even that. It's just I'm fucking brainwashed, and it's to the point like they'll announce Pokemon news for like 11 p.m. and I'll stay up waiting for it, and it's a fucking 3-minute trailer, and I'm like, I'm so tired. Literally brainwashed.
No, I see the 3-minute trailer. I'm like, I am no longer tired. I can talk about this until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know. I think definitely if they swapped up the business model, any kind of microtransactions in a Pokemon game, fuck no. Okay, actually, a red flag for me at least would be if they said we want to make Gen 9 cross-compatible, like cross-playable and progressible on mobile.
Oh god.
How would that? Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of like with Pokemon Go or something?
No. I just mean if they decided that they wanted to make it multiple platforms and that they wanted to develop first-party support for mobile alongside Switch. I don't know if I would stop playing because I'm also way too lost in the source.
Drinking too much of the Kool-Aid, eh?
But absolutely. But that would definitely be a red flag. Anything that even just hints at free to play.
But then at the same time, I can definitely swallow free to play because it's free to play. Like I'd probably like when we played Unite was that last year before last? It was we played that for a bit because it was free to play. We got angry because it had microtransactions that were essentially pay to win, and I was like, well, I had fun in the handful of I think I had 20 or 40 games that I played. Couldn't make it to master because I'm not very good.
That's
but
fine,
like I still enjoyed that time I spent with it. I just didn't spend more time with it.
And I also think with that it's a different ball game though, right? Because we have an expectation. I'm assuming this question is referring to Gen 9. I don't actually know, but assuming that it's referring to Gen 9, we have an expectation of what Gen 9 is, and a significant deviation from what we think Gen 9 should be to a free-to-play model or anything like Pokemon Unite would be a step in the right direction.
That's true. No, good point.
I would like to say if there was no voice acting, there
is no voice acting. Get over it. There will never be voice acting in a Pokemon game.
The
They're a small indie company. They cannot afford
I know
it.
that there won't.
You know who's also a small indie company? Tri-Ace, and they have voice acting in their Star Ocean game.
Shit, that's Japanese weeb shit.
So is Pokemon.
How dare you? Yeah, I
doubles down even. Oh my god.
Yeah, look, I'm not surprised they don't have voice acting for this one, but surely by Gen 10, or if there is a Gen 10, or surely the next. I hate to predict the next Pokemon game before we're even the one that's coming out this year is out. If it doesn't have voice acting, what the fuck are they doing? But it sells a shit ton. It sells. They
refuse to catch up with the times.
They don't need to make games cheap as they can.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask what could they do to make me not want to play Gen 9 because
I'm literally in that Kool-Aid so far.
It'll just matter how quickly you drop it.
Yeah.
After I finish the living deck.
Oh. Actually, with that in mind, there are tons of things that would make me drop it faster. Chibi, dropping it.
Yeah, that's true. The art style, yeah. Battle Frontier.
Cell shaded Pokemon.
Ooh. Give me back the sprites. I said it.
I still think Gen 6 was the best mix.
No.
Like, Overworld, it wasn't chibi, but it was like big head mode.
Big head mode.
And then when you got into battles, it was like proper proportions. I think that was the best mix.
Galaxy brain, but never in the battle. Am I right, fellas?
That is how I handled the battles in Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Final thoughts from either of you. I've said all I can say about the audience question.
Yeah, just anything turning it into like a live service model instead of like a paid RPG.
God,
Like-
Yeah.
yeah. But maybe here we are back again talking about open world. It going open world like it is going open world in Gen 9. They could do this very well, or they could do this very poorly, and I think that's where we're at. Like, it's just open world burnout, and
Oh yeah, turn it into a Ubisoft open world where you got like a million different collectibles and icons all over the minimap and just things
hey man,
to do.
I'm scheduling an orbital strike to your house because that's the most fucking cursed idea in the entire world. How fun? Ugh.
That is what the question is asking for.
It is that would fucking that.
I am doing my job.
Yeah, I think it going free to play, which it probably never will. It probably only coming like if they do too much of a home integration. Sorry, not home go integration. Like if we like there was that big worry around 2018 about everything becoming like let's go, and that would be the new catching mechanic. That it's good for a couple of minutes, but then it's like okay, going back to the old formula. Yeah, but yeah, no. All this conversation has done has made me excited for Gen 9. So.
I actually kind of hit this question already with Pokemon because I didn't play Gen 8 because dropping the national dex pissed me off so much.
It's a fucking brain dead take. Not all Pokemon, like the majority of the Pokedex is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, but some of my favorites didn't make it in. Where's Totodile?
What you mean, like Venusaur?
Yeah, I actually really like Venusaur, and it wasn't available until the DLCs.
So you're not gonna play with
same with
so
Blastoise.
good. Use different Pokemon.
Yeah, that's fine. I do use different Pokemon during the journey, but then for the post game, I'd like to use some of my favorites.
I don't know.
Remember the line? A good Pokemon team is made of your favorite Pokemon.
Have you ever thought of maybe just having different favorites?
Pick like Zigzagoon or something.
But I'd like to have
Try
have
different
options.
Pokemon. But anyway, we could literally talk about the National Dex stuff. That's the spoiler cast episode 2. Revenge of the National Dex.
Dexit strikes back.
Return of the Dexit. But yeah, I'm so fucking keen for Gen 9. Give us more fucking news Pokemon, you dogs. I'm sick of getting excited reading leaks and I'm not sure if this is real.
Yeah, you're sick of reading leaks about
Well, it's not even
Sprigatito
that. It's like they're doing other things as well. And I'm like, surely that's not true. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know anything. Give me news! They'll just shadow drop something fucking next week like they always do. You heard it here first. Next Wednesday, I reckon. 11 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Can't wait for people to listen to this and then immediately switch to the shadow dropped Nintendo Direct.
Yeah. And Sprigatito with big titties. Okay, call it.
Fucking, just, it's a full Nintendo Direct, but just every slide is just Rule 34 Pokemon, and they're trying to keep a straight face, delivering serious news.
This is a Pokemon for mature gamers.
Anyway, but we also think it would bring a new generation of Pokemon lovers into the
Pokemon lovers, eh?
Anyway, we're not going to entertain this thought anymore. Yeah, poor choice of words on my part, I'll be honest. But hopefully that answers your question, Brian. Michelle O'Brien.
Michelle O'Brien.
But if you or someone you know has a question you'd like us to answer, get in touch. We're on Facebook at Fosterville Lounge, Twitter at Fosterville Lounge, minus one of the L's, and on Gmail, fostervillelounge@gmail.com. Please give us a like on your favorite podcast platform and a review or comment if you can. All interactions help boost our voices within the algorithm and bring us one step closer to being the preferred gaming and pop culture podcast sponsored by Krispy Kreme. With that takes us to the end of episode 33, the end of the episode for this week. Anything outstanding that you want to tease the audience for next week?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be checking out the Stranger of Paradise DLC and then talking about that next week.
God, you didn't shut up about it for the entire time we've been recording today.
Yeah, well, too bad. Now I'm going to actually play it and talk about it and not just talk about the information about it.
That's so much worse. That's so much
Power
worse.
to you, big fella. Power to you.
No, gotta respect a company that does chaos-based DLC correctly.
Yes. How's that Tiny Tina DLC going?
Shut the fuck up, Seth. I gave you
Always
a
pre-order DLC, right?
My hand was outstretched. I was in the ring. I was reaching out, and you know what you did? You spat in my hand.
No, I grabbed your hand and pulled you close into the knife.
What a weird thing to say.
What about you?
Hopefully I'm going to finish that Digimon Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Like, I know I've said it like the past 3 weeks, but it's got like some weird mechanics that I've like sort of become addicted to is probably the right word for it. So it's just sort of prolonging the game. But yeah, the Multiverses beta's out, so I'll probably play a couple of games of that. Probably getting ready to bulk up the shoulder so I can run it straight at any unoccupied landlords I see.
I wish you luck
Cool.
with
This
the
is a threat.
landlords.
If you're a landlord, you're on watch.
This is a threat. Just so we're not mincing words, I am threatening the lives of.
Josh, get me the big guillotine.
Yeah, well, it'll be funny when I actually...
The heavy guillotine.
Is it pronounced... Yeah, look, it doesn't matter. So it's guillotine like a fish has gills, right?
Oh my god.
Cut to commercial.
Literally a U in guillotine. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 33. So I've been Patrick. I've been joined by Seth and Steve. And thank you for fast traveling with us today. And we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Happy birthday, Bastion. One of the best games from Supergiant Games.